Okay.
Oh.
Are we starting?
Are we starting?
What?
Kicking it old school, baby.
You know what's funny is that you should do that. I just heard that there was obviously this has been a long time ago, but I'm just like learning about this. There was a porno that was based on Super Mario Brothers.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
With none other than the legendary Ron Jeremy.
Oh my god. Oh, well, he makes the perfect Mario.
Super Hornio Brothers.
Get the fuck. They could have come up with a better pun than that.
Couldn't they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
That's
my
pretty
God.
clever.
Super horny. I mean, that's no Harry Twatter and the Sorcerer's Bone. You know what I mean? Like, I could have thought of something. Poondock Taints. Pooncock Taints?
Yeah.
That was the one I came up with.
I know.
Pandoral is a good one.
Muffy the Vampire Lair.
Ooh, that's good. I
Oh,
like that.
wow.
That's a real one.
Of course it's real.
No,
it's porn. What is that, Rule 34? Where if it exists, there's porn of it?
but you know the funniest thing is that was
Oh, amazing.
Super Hornio.
It's
Oh
the
my
cover
god,
for it.
that's so great.
That's hilarious.
Do
Oh
you
my
know who
goodness.
currently owns the rights to Super Hornio Brothers?
You bought it, didn't you?
Please tell me it's you.
No.
Damn it.
Sega.
Nintendo.
Get out of here!
They
Oh, this is one of the things
purchased-
they snatched up so people couldn't do
Bingo.
anything
Couldn't
with it.
fuck with it?
Yeah.
couldn't mess with it.
Serious?
God, Nintendo!
Yeah, so
They had
put
a
it-
habit of doing
yeah.
that in the,
So
what
they
was it,
put
the
it
late
in-
90s? Early...
Basically, they put it in the vault so that nobody else could do anything with it, and yeah, it's just forgotten. now.
Nintendo 60 horror, where it's all old women over 60. Oh my god!
Is this another one of the things where after they bought it, they basically recalled all unsold copies too?
They may have. It's just like
Nintendo's done weird
there was-
shit like that in the past.
There was a number 1 and a number 2. Number 2 surfaced like years ago. Number 1, I think people still can't find copies
Was
of.
number 2 where the different chapters were each different character, just like Super Mario Brothers 2, where you have Mario, Luigi, they called him Chode instead of Toad, and
No.
then Princess Peach.
I don't believe so.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
No.
Well,
That would have. Yeah, Chode would have been clever. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been.
just the hat.
Would have been something. Oh, God. Oh boy.
It's a good start.
Reel it back in.
Reel it back in. That's the opening. That's the stinger right there. That's great.
I gotta leave. Sorry. Time to go.
Time to go. Yes. Hello. Welcome back. It's
Hi.
another Power Trip Gaming Powercast.
Where you're listening with power.
That's right. Well, that was a good start because kicking it old school is
Well,
kind
yeah.
of the theme of this episode is reminiscing.
Kicking it old school.
Oh God, don't ever.
I
don't
did
ever do
it because that was
I know that was
on
the
The
thing.
Simpsons.
I know.
That was on The Simpsons.
The Simpsons did it.
Simpsons did it.
Yes, we have a special guest with us. We've called him by many names. Chris Vanderschloot, as I like to call him.
Vandersloot.
Vanderschloot, Vanderslut, but
Yep, Vanderslut.
Yes.
I
Yep.
figured you'd go with Vanderschlong.
oh, that's good too.
That's a really good one,
That's a
actually.
good one.
Well, now you've got your next.
Now he's got his porn name.
He won't use it because he didn't come up with it. So
Quick, if you were a porn star, what would your name be?
I've actually done this before. It's so my official name is Muggsy Harrison.
Muggsy Harrison.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a thing. It's you take the name of your first pet, and then the name of the street that you grew up on. So Muggsy was my dog's name when I was a kid growing up, and I grew up on Harrison Road. So Muggsy Harrison.
Somehow Jordan 21st Avenue doesn't have a good ring to
Well, it doesn't work for everybody.
it. Kevin, what would your porn name be?
just no.
That's your name? You know. Copy.
No, I mean, have you seen me?
There's uglier people than you in porn, buddy. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
If you're rocking a fucking
Ron
Red Bull
Jeremy.
can, you're good. Well, we obviously know Vanderschlong. Then
Well, if I had to go with the way
With that,
Paul
yep.
did it,
Mhm.
and I've actually heard of that, it would be Corky, Kentucky.
Corky.
Our first dog's name was Corky,
Oh,
and
that's
then
hilarious.
Kentucky Street.
That just works.
Well, mine would be Long John Von Cockknuckles, and I would exclusively do pirate porn.
Pirate.
John's my middle name, so Long John Von Cockknuckles.
Very nice.
There's a grain of truth in every lie. As
I
they
like
say.
it. I like it.
You
I
know?
say it's more of an ironic name, so.
Although
That is true.
although it is funny because I feel like Muggsy Harrison, like it sounds
pretty good.
It sounds like a legit
Yes,
name.
it does.
Like, yeah. But
No, we're gonna be talking about a lot of back in the day stuff because
Yeah.
Vanderhoef is a little bit older than we are, but he also can relate to a lot of the struggles we went through as far as collecting. Because while we're done with the collection, he's still collecting, and it's a vastly different climate now than it was 13 years ago.
And I have nothing but mad respect for Chris, for anybody who is still collecting or trying to collect like sets to completion, because I
Brought it full circle, boys! Full circle, yo!
But no, but I'm saying it is a vastly different environment than it was when we were collecting, when we were putting together the collection, and I just don't know how people can even how they could do it anymore.
Well, it's like we had said when we were at the Classic, we met that guy who's also collecting. And what did he pick up? I don't even remember.
He
a
had
friend of
like
yours, right?
He had some. Yeah, I work with him. I'm friends with him.
but he said he was at like 80 left or something like that.
Yeah, something about 80.
Yeah. 80 or 81.
Just
but
like that's
I think-
licensed.
Yeah. And that's just the licensed ones.
That last 100 is just
But
brutal.
it's just
Especially if it's expensive ones.
It's difficult more so now because of the fact that I feel like back then everybody had like video games, or they had them in like a bin, and sometimes you could luck in and find like a Bonk's Adventure, or you could find a Panic Restaurant just at like a Goodwill or something like
Or a
that.
garage sale.
Nowadays, like, you can't find anything like that. If you do go to a video game store, they've got nothing but like the sports titles, like the Bases Loaded, the Marios, the
Zeldas.
like all the common ones that you would expect to see there. It's like you don't see that variety anymore like you used to.
No. So yes, so I guess first off, like, what got you into collecting? Because you don't collect just Nintendo, you collect Master System, and you collect a little bit of everything, to be honest.
Yeah, I got a lot. I mean, I didn't start collecting in the beginning. We had a Commodore VIC-20, and I don't know if you guys remember that. You guys might be too young, but William Shatner was actually the spokesperson for it.
Oh,
he
wow.
would do the ads.
I feel like I vaguely remember that.
I want to say they didn't do TV commercials for it at the time. And then, so we had that. Got started playing on that. But,
What was on that?
they had Gorf,
I remember Gordon.
Radar Rat Race.
Did you know that Gorf is frog backwards?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's how they came up with the name.
Is that how they come up with... Is that the porn name?
No. Gorf is literally frog backwards.
Well, I know it's frog backwards, but that's not why they came up with the name, was it? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Jupiter Landing was on it, but the games I really liked on there were the text adventure games, like Infocon, the Zork games, and Scott Adams is the one that developed the ones on the VIC-20. And I would sit down with my mom and we would play the text adventure games. We ended up getting a Commodore 64. My dad got one from someone from work. Back at that time, tons of floppies.
Yeah.
Back at that time, everything was pirated.
Oh, of course.
Everyone had their... When you loaded it, it took 5 minutes, 8 minutes for a game to load.
Oh my god.
But then the screen would come up with cracked by, and it would have the person's, their cracked name.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then, you'd go and play the game. And I think the Commodore 64 was one of the best systems, I guess you can call it a
still
system.
talk about it very
especially
with
at
high
that
regard.
time.
Yeah.
And then I found Zork on that one, another text game that my mom and I would play. And we ended up, at that time, you didn't have the internet.
No.
So then we actually came from Racine up to the Kenosha Library because they had the Invisiclues, and we'd copy them. They had them all filled out, and then we'd go to the copy machine and copy the answers.
Yeah.
But those games, I love those text games. But then
Those were so cool. When I first learned computer programming in high school, I used to, instead of doing the assignment, I would always just create text games.
I love them. I mean, because
Yeah.
you'd have your graph paper. You know, put the room on the graph paper. This is what's in the room, and just map it all. Loved mapping it, trying to figure out what you had to do in the game. And Infocom had the best text adventure games. The comedy in there, the writing was spectacular. I don't know if you guys have ever played one, but
Yes, I have.
they had some great writing, and then unfortunately Infocom tried to do a spreadsheet program, and that's where I think it was called Cornerstone, and that's where their downfall happened. Then Activision bought them, and Activision didn't do much. They just started doing... They used the Zork name, but it was graphic adventure. It wasn't the same. So then eventually, my best friend across the street, you met him, Chad. I don't think Kevin or Andy has. But lived across the street. He had a Nintendo. He also eventually got a Genesis, but at that time, you had the commercials. And back at that time, when a commercial was shown for a video game, you usually saw gameplay. Nowadays, you really don't see gameplay.
No.
Well,
It's all like rendered cutscenes and stuff now.
Yeah.
That's
you
why
don't
E3
see
to me
it
is
at
kind
all.
of a joke, because it's like most of those trailers they show at E3 are just like cinematic trailers.
Yeah.
Well,
Very rarely ever
E3
show
became
gameplay.
worse because it became, okay, we're showing this game. That game comes out in 5 years rather than this year or next year like it used to be.
Well, it's not even just that. They'll show like screenshots, and then they'll say like at the bottom like not actual gameplay footage or
Well,
not actual game.
Part of the reason is like alpha builds always look better because they're part of a pitch.
Yes,
Right,
of
right.
course. And
So-
that's why,
So that's why I can't remember what company got in trouble for it, but it's basically because that's the renders that they use to pitch it to the studio itself to say, hey, this is the concept we want to make.
Yeah.
It's like early test footage for movies is often vastly different from the movie that comes out.
I still remember before Ocarina of Time came out, when they had done a trailer for it, and like Link looks totally different.
Yeah.
It was either that or Majora's Mask. I don't remember which. But I remember they did kind of like almost like a tech demo looking thing of it, and it was like, this looks nothing like the final product.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much different nowadays than it was back then. I still remember it was Zelda 2. And I believe that was the commercial. You had the wizard kind of up in the tower. And then all of a sudden he's talking, have to save Zelda, she's sleeping. And then it showed the gameplay footage. And just nowadays, you don't get any of that. To me, it's not the same. I'd rather see the gameplay footage and all that. I mean, I guess nowadays you have the internet, you have IGN and all these websites and gameplay footage on YouTube and all that.
Well, to be honest, it's not even a completely modern trend because it started back PS1 era when they started doing like the really heavy slams towards Nintendo with like Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. How much gameplay did you see in any of those? Almost none.
Yeah,
it was him
bit.
mocking Nintendo and stuff like that, and that was the ad for the game.
I remember that.
He,
Those ads with the
Crash Bandicoot's
the
dressed
suit.
up in that suit.
Yeah.
And you'll see a little bit, but it's not much. Yeah.
Like it started like late
So
90s,
probably-
early 2000s is when that trend really started.
I was about to say, because even when Genesis and Nintendo had during the console wars, you would still see gameplay footage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean those were like the best fucking ads too. You know,
I don't know. Some of Nintendo's like early, like the Zelda 2 one I remember, because it did the live action like Link, and then it goes into the game. It just, if you watch them, they were bad.
But I mean, at the time
They
that's
caught
what
your attention, though, I will say that.
Just like, do you remember the old Pokemon commercials where they would show them out in the world and stuff?
Oh,
you
yeah.
were walking. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
But still, that was the shit that caught you because you're like, fucking Pikachu, like Pokemon 64, which Pokemon Stadium, but yeah.
No.
You saw Pokemon 64?
Yeah. Because I'm sure that was probably the name of it in development. Because everything was something
Everything was
64.
something 64.
Just like when the DS launched, the big thing was everything needed to have some form of DS in there. You had Lunar Dragon Song, DS. You had Dawn of Sorrow, DS.
Resident Evil Deadly Silence.
Yes, like that was their big push. Is something it has a reference DS somehow.
DS, yeah.
And then because I remember a lot of games they even forced like the gimmick of the touchscreen, which is why Dawn of Sorrow had the draw. You had to draw the seals on the screen.
At least it was minimal in that one.
Right. But it's just that was the big thing. But yeah, you don't see ads like that anymore. Hell, you barely even see commercials anymore.
Well, that's because they've switched purely to the online market for most gaming stuff.
Yeah.
Because the cost to put a commercials up has gone up, and it's not, even though gaming is like the second or third biggest industry in the world, it's not worth it because their target audience isn't there and they know it.
I mean, you see it every so often. Like when I'm on YouTube, I'll see commercials every so often
online,
for a
but
game.
and those are made specifically for for online, not TV.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I would say most people don't even have TV anymore.
It's a lot of streaming
Hulu,
services.
Netflix. I mean, that's still every so often I'll see a game one on there as well, but it's mostly ads for what erection dysfunction and whatever the fuck else. Because I mean, it's either medicine or cars. Those are the two commercials you ever only see. Very rarely beer. It's usually seltzer now. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Hard seltzer. Get the fuck out of here. Who? Why? Why is this a thing that hard water is a thing? Who is like, I want to get drunk, but I also want to stay hydrated. Hard water, perfect.
An alcoholic.
God, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Well, they do it because it's healthier. It's the healthier alternative.
There you go.
Less calories.
If I'm drinking, I don't care about the calories. I'm drinking. Like that's like drinking and you're worried about your carbs. That's the worst thing ever. Then don't drink.
Depends on what you're drinking.
Yeah.
It's the worst. I hate it. I hate it. But yes, that's like I said, that's why we're doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The good old days of yore when our parabens were in our diapers and we weren't worried about how much chicken was actually in our chicken nuggets. Games were games, damn it!
How much pink sludge is in the McDonald's burger?
Or what was that one? How much ground up worm was in the Taco Bell taco meat?
Yeah, well, they didn't test for horse meat. Didn't test for crow either.
Wow,
Never mind.
That was the McChicken.
These two wouldn't get that.
Yeah.
You probably would.
Oh yeah.
There was a company in, I want to say it was UK and like Sweden or something like that. One it was like like a TV dinner type thing. There was horse meat in the food.
Okay.
And it got past the company, and he was like, "Well, we didn't test for horse meat because we didn't. We also didn't test for like crow meat and stuff like that." So they got in trouble for having horse meat in their food.
Oh my God! Wow.
So, but it was on one of the big fat quiz.
Yeah,
things,
I remember that. Yeah. But yes, so obviously then you said you got into it that way. Where are you at currently in your collecting? I know you're very close on Master System, correct?
Well,
at least as of the Classic you were.
I need 6 more. 6 more for Sega Master System. It's going to be tough because Sonic, which
He's going after. Let me preface this by saying though that he is going after complete inbox. This is not like Nintendo where it's cartridge only and you just want to try to get the game. He's trying to get them complete.
That's a whole new level.
Yeah.
I wasn't originally going to go for Sega Master System, but then, what was it, 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I realized I had over half of them already. Mm-hmm. And that was all from Goodwill. Yeah, finding stuff at thrift shops, Goodwill, when you can actually go there and get stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is doable. Well, now I'm down to 6, but now it's still needs Sonic, which I still haven't decided because Sonic is a whole nother can of worms.
What makes it so?
Well, so what Sega did, there's 4 titles that came out in the PAL region. They released them at the end of the Sega Master System cycle in the US. What they did was they took those 4 PAL games, released them in the US, and put a barcode sticker, a US barcode sticker over the back of the box. That's the only
That's
difference.
the only way to tell that it's a like a U.S. copy, like is
It's got a
if it's got
barcode?
that UPC code that's stuck to the box.
It's stuck over. It's on the back of the box over the PAL UPC.
Wait, they literally
code.
just like stickers over them?
Yes,
It's just
it's literally just a
hilarious.
sticker.
That's the only
You could
difference.
technically peel that sticker off?
Technically,
If you were
Yes.
careful enough, yeah.
or
probably.
my God.
well, and actually, and you can talk to this too, is that the adhesives
They eventually
they
do, right?
eventually break down and they come off.
Yeah, because I showed you guys the picture. I ended up lucking out on Strider. Someone from, it's so weird because it was someone from Europe, had a copy of Strider for sale. They only had the front, a picture of the front in the eBay auction. So I asked them for pictures of the back and of the cart and the manual. And normally when you do that, they'll add it to the auction. This guy didn't. He only sent them to me, and the back had the sticker on it. You got to be kidding me! How does this guy get an American copy? Well,
And from Europe too.
and he's
nonetheless.
from
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning it. It was after shipping and buying it and shipping. It was 60, 70. It goes 150, 200. So I got it in, and the sticker was on there. It was good. I sent pictures, and then all of a sudden, I had set it aside, and then I went to grab it, and the sticker's off. I'm like, what the heck? It had fallen off, so I glued it back on. I mean,
Wow.
it's
I would have just
legitimate.
stuck it in the box with it.
That's so bizarre.
But that's one thing that it would drive me nuts as a
Absolutely.
completionist. Like literally, the only way to discern this is buy that UPC sticker, and it causes the game to go for like hundreds of dollars versus like the PAL version, which is like
Right.
$50
And
to $100.
The PAL
like,
versions play on the system just fine, or
Yeah. Like that guy I
region
got
free,
that game from, he accidentally sent me a copy of Terminator 2, which was only released as a PAL game.
as a it was European.
European?
only. Yep.
And
And it worked fine.
I must say, you said Master System wasn't region locked.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
it wasn't
region
region
locked. And
No.
so was that something that started with like PS1? Then was region locking?
I think so.
well,
no.
Technically,
Nintendo's
no,
region
Nintendo,
locked.
was.
Nintendo technically
Nintendo's
because
region
Oh, was it?
You
Yeah.
couldn't play a Japanese game on our
No.
Nintendo.
Okay.
you can,
No.
yeah.
I didn't say because yeah.
I mean, if you get a Famicom converter, the early black box games, they're heavier, and if there's a
Yeah.
Famicom converter in there, you can stick it in.
My copy of
Oh,
Stack Up
okay.
has the Famicom converter.
But I don't think the Super Nintendo was.
You couldn't play Super
They don't
Famicom
fit.
games. Yeah, they
No,
don't
maybe
fit.
not. Yeah,
Same
you're
with
right. They're a different
Nintendo
shape and everything,
64.
aren't they?
You have to remove 2 tabs from Japanese games to make them fit in the 64.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
the whole concept of it doesn't make sense.
But it's just it's crazy. I mean, because it's easy for someone to just make up their own sticker.
Print
So-
a label.
So
Oh, just-
when
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
looking, you have to look at age, how dirty it is, because if it's a clean sticker, it's most likely
It's a reproduction, or
Reproduction.
somebody is trying to.
that
pull one
is the
over.
only
Yeah.
difference. In the U.S., they made the manuals are horizontal. PAL manuals are they're vertical in the U.S. Horizontal for PAL. And so I have to decide on Sonic. Complete PAL copies, maybe 50, 75. U.S. copy with that barcode sticker is like $1,000.
I would just go with the PAL.
So
It's the
I-
same thing.
And literally,
Wow.
the you are paying that premium
for the fucking sticker.
for the UPC
It's for the sticker.
For the
Which-
sticker.
That's
Which-
like those people who will
this is-
spend the extra amount for like the 5 screw versus the 3 screw.
That one just drives me
that
nuts.
drives me
That
crazy.
drives me nuts when people advertise things as like, oh, the rare 5 screw. It's like that's just because that's what came out at that time.
That's one of that's
come
one of those
on.
things I don't get about collecting.
I will never get
Is
into yeah.
how it seems like how the prices are so like arbitrary for like which versions, especially if there's no actual difference between the two. But that stupid little sticker, it's like, why? Like there is no legitimate reason to say, well, this version should be 2 or 3 times the
because of that
price.
sticker. There weren't that many released here. I think what they
And
did
that-
was
yeah.
took extra stock from PAL. Let's release it in
Let's
the
release
US.
it here just to
And
try to double.
The collector in me wants the American version,
Of course.
but I'm like, don't think I can justify like.
Fuck,
well,
dick, it really is
Brian.
that expensive.
And unfortunately too, there is an extremely expensive game that was not just a European one, but Buster Douglas boxing.
Complete in box is like 1,300.
And that game, I have no.
I don't have
I have
it.
no idea why that game is as expensive as it is.
It was one of the last ones.
Was it?
released.
Oh, that's probably.
I mean, so like right now, if you look, Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System for PAL,
Yeah.
complete,
Yeah.
$30.
$30.
$30. Sega Master System here, $727. You're talking $560 just the cart for Sonic the Hedgehog for the
That
US
makes no,
Master System.
but that makes no sense to me then, because the cart is literally the same. Isn't it?
See,
The
that's
cart and the manual are exactly
So-
the
See, that's
box
what
is
I'm
the
talking about.
same.
So it's
Then why
so
would the-
arbitrary
It's
just because
just the
it's
sticker.
in the U.S. Therefore, it's worth. It's no.
Well, that's... Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Then
If the
why would
carts
it-
are exactly the same, how would you tell the difference?
Yeah, how would you?
There is no
There
difference.
literally is no difference.
Like the box I get with the sticker.
Yeah.
But, okay,
But
there's a difference there, but with the cart itself, how would you buy cart only
unless
and be
they're
like,
unless they're advertising it as a U.S. release, and
why would you
It's,
ever sell a
it's
PAL cart?
exactly the same.
So there's literally no differentiation between a PAL cart and a US cart of Sonic the Hedgehog for Master System.
Basically, if I had a US copy of Sonic with that UPC sticker on the back, and it fell off and I couldn't find it, I'm out like
because then you basically
$700,000.
then
It's
you
a
basically
PAL version.
now it's a
Like,
PAL.
What
Yeah.
would stop you then from buying the PAL version of Sonic the Hedgehog for $23 and then just finding a box? Because technically you would know it's the PAL version, but then you could just say it's the American one because there's no differentiation between the two carts, right?
There's no
Except
differentiation
$540
at all. There's nothing
That's
at all.
insane to me.
And
Yeah.
if anyone, I didn't find this out until I started looking. Sega Master System. Now, I knew one person when I was a kid that had a Master System, and I played Double Dragon. I'm like, this is so cool. That's before I knew Double Dragon on Nintendo was one player.
Mm-hmm.
But we played that, Jungle Hunt, and I think it was Enduro Racer. But that was the only time I ever played a Sega Master System. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. But the Sega Master System, if anyone goes in collecting, it's actually not bad because it is not region locked.
Mm-hmm.
There's Streets of Rage came out as PAL.
Yeah.
They had
Wasn't it?
tons of games.
No, that
Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
I want to get Spellmasters, like a kind of Castlevania clone that only came out there.
I'll say it was called Bare Knuckle, I think, in Japan.
There's
Knuckle
Bare
Brawler,
Knuckle in
yeah.
Japan.
Bare Knuckle
Asterix
Brawler.
came out, supposed to be pretty good. There's a lot of non-US games
That are really nice.
supposed to
Yeah.
be pretty good.
That's
So here's the funny thing. Notice what site?
price rating. Yeah.
So this is an article from 2011
Oh,
about
They do-
Sonic.
they did.
They used to do articles.
Oh, I didn't
Oh, I
realize
didn't
that
know
they did
that.
articles.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah, it's basically down here. It goes through like talking about how a most recent copy back then sold for $1,000.
Yeah.
When other copies sell regularly from 30 to 40, and it's like the only difference is that sticker. And then let's say the U.S. and European Sonic games for the Master System are literally exactly the same. The only difference is the small UPC sticker
Yep.
placed on the U.S. version. The game has become notorious with collectors because the value is so different, but the rare version can easily be faked with a UPC printer and labels.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I figured.
Exactly.
So it was even an issue 11 years ago.
Yeah, back
'Cause you
then.
could,
Yep.
what would stop you from like going online, just getting a screen grab of like the back of an American box, just recreating that
Yep.
UPC?
Yeah, because you can't like really scan it. I mean, it's
Well, you
it's got
could.
its it's no, but it's got its own unique UPC code. So
Right.
like
The
if
number.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
if,
but
if you scanned it,
There's a
would come
number
back.
right there. I can
Yep.
literally just
That's
recreate.
exactly.
Exactly.
You could create that exact UPC label, and
Yeah.
who would know?
Yep.
It's not
So-
like it would go anywhere.
For those 4 games, it's Spider-Man, Strider, Sonic, and Golden Axe Warrior.
Wow.
And for those 4 games, you need to look at how dirty the label is, if it has any age, if maybe any creaks, is it starting to fall off, That's what you have to look for those 4 games. And so I have Strider. I still need Spider-Man. I still need Sonic, which I don't know what I'm going to do. I have Golden Axe, but I don't have the box. Or Golden Axe Warrior, which you guys should play. It's the Zelda clone.
I was about to say, I feel like I played something like that on the Game Gear.
Yes,
was it Axe Battler? Wasn't that kind of like that?
I think it's Axe Battler, which I thought was an RP-ish game.
It is. It's like a Legend of Zelda.
And
like
the one for Sega Master System, it's just Golden Axe in name. I think they're just trying to sell it. It's not really. I think Dark Adder. Death Adder. I think is in it, but I think that's about as Golden Axe as you get.
Well, who's the character you play as? Is it the barbarian guy?
It looks like a dwarf, but I don't think it's anyone from the Golden Axe universe. I think it's a.
I have a quick question. So the U.S. release for Sonic on Master System in Europe, it's got the blurb in English and then in multiple other languages. Is it the same in the U.S.?
Yes, because it is the PAL version. That's another difference. Everything in America is in English on the back. If you see any other language except for Strider, Spider-Man, Golden Axe Warrior, and Sonic,
I just saw
has
that
5 languages.
Yeah.
It's PAL. That's how you know if it's PAL.
Okay. Yeah.
Or it's American. You look at the back of the box, or you look to see if the manual is vertical or horizontal.
Doesn't it also say like at the bottom?
Sega of America.
Sega of America is on the bottom.
That's the other way you can tell. It'll say Sega of America.
Yep. So basically, the box is the only real identifier.
Except for those 4 games.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. How would you feasibly collect
So
that?
even on the cart, there's no difference. It doesn't say Sega of America
It's
or anything.
exactly the same.
That's what I was trying to get at. I'm
Cart is literally the same.
Exactly the same.
so you could
manual
theoretically buy like 8 copies of Sonic, the PAL version,
for 40 to
And
50
then
bucks.
sell it
put it on
loose
eBay
for
and say,
$5.50.
and then say it's say
American
this
version.
is the American version.
There's no way to differentiate. How would anybody know?
Well, and the funny thing
That
is,
seems
like,
really shitty.
It doesn't it?
And also a very good idea.
although it's also weird because the
I would never do that, but yes.
apparently on like the PAL TVs and stuff, like the Master System and stuff in Europe only was a 50 hertz, whereas here in the US it's 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like even though it's the same card, it plays at 2 different
Now,
frequencies.
I had
It's
heard
weird.
some PAL games don't work here because of the hertz.
Because our TVs were 60
I think
or
it's because of
higher.
the hertz. It
Yeah.
does something when playing.
Makes
It
weird,
just
choppy
doesn't
or
work.
Gross.
Well, that's why Sonic here is much faster than it is over
Yes,
there.
if you play it over there, it's slower. Yeah,
Interesting.
but
It almost plays like kind of. Have you ever played Sonic Spinball? Spinball's really sluggish and kind of.
I like that game.
It's
not many
it's not
people
a bad
like
game.
it. I liked it.
It's not great by any means.
It's not great.
But like it plays kind of slow and sluggish, isn't it? Am I remembering
Well,
what the
yeah,
original one was between the two different?
That was
It was slower.
Right.
Yes, and I think PAL does generally play slower because that was one of the people's like big gripes when the PlayStation like mini console came out.
Oh, yeah.
They said that the games were actually
They're
PAL
PAL. They
versions.
run slower.
Yeah, so they ran slower.
Interesting.
Like,
That's why-
was it 10% slower or something like that, or
That's
30%?
why when people also hacked the PlayStation Mini, they were able to actually get it up to proper frame rates and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I did grab one of those PlayStations when it was on clearance for 20. I'm like, I might as well.
Oh, you found it for
worst.
20?
I think it was 20 at Target.
Oh,
That's not
see,
bad.
I've never. I
For
don't think
that,
I ever
that's not
saw it-
bad.
I don't think I ever saw it less than 50.
It was like 20 or 30 when they were clearing it out.
Interesting.
It's
Yeah.
just a shame the games they released for us versus like the Japanese ones.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
their
I
their
don't
selection
understand.
for the Japanese ones were 10 times
Where they were all in the system already, though. You could unlock them.
I will never understand why they selected the games that they selected.
They weren't
terrible
good selection.
No.
The best one is the TurboGrafx one.
They did a TurboGrafx Mini.
It only, you can only get it on Amazon.
Oh,
it only
okay.
sold through Amazon. It was $100,
interesting. Huh.
and now people are selling them for $250.
Oh, of course, because it was.
But I'm
Amazon
like,
exclusive.
the TurboGrafx at that time, not many people knew about it. But I mean, I have TurboGrafx, I have Turbo Duo, and it's a good system. There are some good games, and people never played it or back then and wanted it, or the people.
It's just expensive from what I remember.
It
Comparatively speaking, of course.
those prices are going up now.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to find some of that, like cotton for turbo. I think it's CD. It's over $1,000.
Yeah, it's so the numbers. There just wasn't as many games produced for the TurboGrafx, but it was one of those systems where it wasn't advertised heavily here, and you had Nintendo, you had Sega, you had all these other systems.
More expensive at the time too.
Well,
I don't know
Just
if
like
it was more
the
expensive,
Philips CDI.
but
I want to say about 200. Turbo CD was actually the first CD system. It wasn't the
it wasn't
Sega
Sega
CD.
CD. Yeah.
And I think that was 400 for the add-on. Now, the problem was it was NEC that did it, but it was actually, I think, I can't remember if Hudson was part of that at the time, but Hudson, I think NEC did the hardware. Hudson said they do the software, but that was it over in Japan. When it came over here, they didn't want to market all the good games that Japan had. The U.S. side of it, they said, we want this, we want this, we want this. Japan wouldn't release it over here. And that's a lot of the reason why it failed here.
Well, they've been doing that since Nintendo.
It's kind of like how the Sega Japan screwed up over here. I mean, Sega would still be doing hardware if they would let Tom Kalinske do what he wanted.
And I was gonna say, everybody, like, if you haven't, you owe it to yourself. Check out the book Console Wars.
That book is so great.
Because Tom Kalinske is really an unsung hero in the video game industry.
He started at Mattel with Barbie, I believe.
He is what caused Sega to actually, like, during the whole Sega Nintendo war in the early 90s, people don't realize that Sega, for a time, was the market.
It held the most
They were on top of the world.
And he was able to get something that had only a 10% share to being a higher share than Nintendo. And he did the best he could, but for some reason, Sega of Japan never liked the success that Sega of America did, because
ego over there.
it was basically overshadowing the success of Sega of Japan. So they did not like that. And so they would do things to intentionally sabotage Sega of America because they didn't want them to outperform Sega of Japan.
That's exactly what it was.
And it's insane. Like they were the reason why the Sega
It's one
Saturn,
big company. Why wouldn't you?
They're the reason why the Sega Saturn came out with no freaking launch titles.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna release on Saturn Day. I think it was in October.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, was it E3 or was it at the CES show?
It was
E3.
one of them. It was E3, I think, in like
E3.
May or something like that. Yeah.
They get up there, Sega goes first, and then they go, oh, and the Saturn's coming out today. All the retailers were pissed.
Yeah,
because they were building up for this release on Sega Saturn Day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Toys R Us came out, I think Walmart got out and said, we're not going to deal with Sega anymore. And then the price was, I think, $400, and then Sony goes on.
And the developer, what's that?
Sony goes on after Sega, and all they say was $299.
No, that
or
was
it
no, that was
for the PlayStation.
Yeah, but that was for the PlayStation 2.
No, because PlayStation 2.
PS1 was $299.
It was $299.
Okay, then maybe it was PS1.
Saturn was $399.
So they came out. The price was. They said the price $399 for the Saturn.
I remember the
and then
PlayStation
it was,
guy. Yeah.
I think Jack Trudell, I think for Sony, came out after Saturn or Sega's.
I think because they said you can't sell a system for $300, and so they literally, the guy came out, he's like, $299,
walked out,
and walked out,
and they were all clapping,
like monstrous applause.
That just started the downfall of Sega.
Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, if Sega had not shot themselves in the foot, they might have crushed Nintendo.
Oh, very much so.
Like, we almost would have no Nintendo.
It'd be the opposite way. Nintendo would be a software company.
Yeah.
Like Sega is.
I'd have my Dreamcast too. Man.
That's what's so surprising to me is Sega, even though that happened to them, they're still around and still relevant. Like, how many other things have released systems that just don't do anything anymore?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you have all these other systems that came out around that era. 3DO, the
3DO
was like, what, $700?
Oh my God,
3DO
was insane.
CDI,
You have the Neo Geo.
You have, I don't know if you can kind of call it the Nuon. I don't know if you remember that.
The new
one was Samsung. It was a DVD player, but it had something with. They released software on it. It's not well known.
Oh, yeah.
The Pioneer Laser Active.
Okay.
I think that might have been around that time. That was. You guys know about the Laser Active?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but
It's a laser. It plays laser disc, but then you can get a Sega module and a TurboGrafx module and a karaoke module put in there.
It kind of sounds like today's Polymega. You know,
And
basically.
you put them in, and then it had its own branded controller.
Oh, interesting.
It's Pioneer. That's one of the holy grails I want, but it's like $1,000.
Of course it is. Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah.
CDI
Neo
came out
Geo
around
was
that time.
$650 and 3DO was $699.
Yep,
at launch.
$700.
How much was Neo Geo?
God.
Like
$650.
$650.
$650 at launch.
The Neo Geo?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
thought it
found a
was
list.
like
It's every game, every
thought it was
system,
800.
their launch year, and what they cost.
And you're talking back then.
Yeah.
So
then.
like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, even PlayStation, like just $299 is so much more feasible than $650.
You know, those systems like the Neo Geo and the 3DO, you gotta remember.
They were also very arcade accurate compared to the
Yes, they were.
console.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
they were graphically superior in every.
I don't know
shape
if
and
you
form.
guys remember this. You may be too young, but those systems, because they were kind of niche systems,
Oh yeah.
you could not find them in Target. You couldn't find them at Walmart,
you had to go.
Toys R Us.
You had to go
Radio
specific
I only
to,
saw the 3DO and the Neo Geo. I only saw the software, etc. when it was back in retail.
Yeah.
That's the only place I ever saw them. Did GameStop exist back then?
No,
I don't think so.
It was Funkoland.
It was Funkoland, and they didn't sell new systems.
So,
I don't think.
GameStop didn't come around until. So it was a
Babbage's
conglomerate.
was around.
It was
I think so.
It was a conglomerate. There was Babbage's. There was software,
The software, etc. ad for it.
There was Electronics
for the
Boutique,
Panasonic.
and there was Funkoland.
Yeah.
700. I didn't
That's
realize that.
insane. I remember them being obscenely expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember the Neo Geos being expensive.
And well, the reason the 3DO was so expensive
Oh, and the 3DO, yeah. I
is what
remember
they
that too.
did was that they sourced out the hardware. The company itself didn't. The way it was they had to pay the hardware company. It's not through the normal channel. So that's why you see the Gold Star 3DO. You see the Panasonic's 3DO.
Oh my God.
They didn't make like Nintendo makes their own. They make their own
Right,
switches.
right.
So Panasonic made it for 3DO. Gold Star made it for 3DO. So it's so high because they had to pay them for that, and that's another reason why that failed. Now the 3DO, Trip Hawkins, actually quit EA.
Yeah, to
I believe
start,
he
yeah.
founded EA, and then
Yes, he
he
did.
went and started the 3DO.
Yeah,
Wow.
and bless his heart, he thought that he was gonna frickin' enter the market and just destroy the market, and
He honestly thought that their mistake was not doing it internally. And I don't recall much marketing either.
No.
I mean, I know
was
I
some
saw
I
it.
remember some.
I was I'm scrolling through 3DO ads.
There
right
was
now,
one
and
there. I remember seeing the 3DO ads in like video game magazines.
Yeah,
but I
that's-
don't.
yeah.
But there was only one commercial I ever remember.
I don't
with the
remember
3DO
commercials.
It was like a Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis
It was on the
being
cover
like
of EGM.
was being thrown into like a toy box, and they said
Yeah.
leave like the toys are for babies or something like that, and then this is for you.
An adult.
And, yeah, and it was the 3DO.
Actually, one of the ads I just saw for him
Look at that.
said "We have it, they don't," and on the side it's like sex, violence, and some other
Yeah.
stuff.
You know what else they?
Well, I always remember only ever seeing them
you
at
must have
it's-
flip.
You know what else?
KB.
KB
No,
toys.
it wasn't KB. It was so you know on Green Bay Road there you have that strip,
Yeah.
like Kohl's and
Yeah.
Fresh Time and all
Yeah.
that. There used to be
Oh.
I can't remember what it was.
It was
games.
In
No, it was
Kenosha?
No, it was
It
KB
was
Toys.
KB.
Yeah,
Kenosha?
KB Toy Works.
Yeah, in Kenosha. 'cause
Highway 50, that's
Yeah,
KB. It was KB.
EGM.
I always
has
remember
3DO on the cover.
seeing the
Oh,
3DO,
wow.
Neo
That's
Geo, and all that shit in KB, in like the Virtual Boy, because I never remember seeing Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy, I only remember at KB.
Yes, KB. I remember Virtual Boy very distinctly,
Yeah.
but like yeah, those it's what a fucking you still couldn't now even launch a console and compete with the big three.
No.
It's impossible.
No.
And it's just so funny too, because back then those were the prices for systems, and people are complaining about like $600 for a PlayStation 5. It's like, do you guys realize like
There's
20
that I was talking about.
sex, drugs, violence, weapons, San Francisco men in tights.
But then in the lower right corner, we
What's-
got it, they don't.
We got it. They don't. Yeah, they also got plumbers don't wear ties.
That's one game I always wanted to get.
It's so stupid.
Now I have a Panasonic
Take
3DO.
your goddamn clothes off.
Have you ever played it? Have you played
I've
it?
seen it before.
I want to get that one. That one I don't have, but I do have a Panasonic 3DO. I don't know, 20-ish games.
Oh wow.
But that was before. I mean, I guess I'm not actively collecting for 3DO, so I don't know how much stuff is. But when I find it,
You just pick it
I
up.
pick
if you
it up.
can, Yeah.
But I played some of the games. I mean, it's not bad, but I don't have it hooked up right now. It's in storage. But it wasn't bad. But man, $700.
That's.
I mean, back then, like, I got games. Now, when I was a kid, all my money went to buy Nintendo games. Once I got a Nintendo for Christmas, it was probably, I want to say, well, it came out in 85. I want to say maybe I didn't get one for like until probably 89, maybe 90. Because I remember there was at least 3 years it was on my Christmas list.
Oh my god.
What was on your Christmas list?
A Nintendo.
Oh, a Nintendo.
Because
Oh,
all we
geez.
had
Yeah.
was Commodore 64.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The first console I played was Atari 2600 at my grandma and grandpa's. And it's
Yep.
so funny because I found out Paul lives like a block away from where my grandma and grandpa was.
Oh, that's funny.
So we would go over there for Christmas and Easter and whatever. And we play combat with everyone. Frog Bog, Frogs and Flies.
I like that.
And so
Grand Prix.
I love
Yeah.
Frogs and Flies.
Yeah.
So that was the first system I played on, but at home we had the Commodore VIC-20, Commodore 64. So I finally got that Nintendo, and I like crap my pants. It was,
He was the kid from that N64 commercial.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god.
And it was the one with the gun. It had Duck Hunt
Well, of course, all
and
the
Mario,
systems that- yeah, it was a
Mario
challenge.
Brothers. By
It
that
was a
time,
challenge
deluxe
set.
set would have been gone, and my parents wouldn't have paid that much anyways. So played that, played the crap out of it, and it was all my money went to video games. All my allowance, everything went to video games. But that I wasn't collecting. I just wanted new games at that time. I don't know, 90-ish, I would say. And my games would be, I'd get the clearance games because then I can get more games.
Of course.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to me.
We didn't think
Quantity
about that
over
kind of thing.
quality.
Yeah.
Right. And now that I'm an adult, I can basically buy whatever I want. It's kind of lost that magic because now I can buy everything. Back then,
Yeah.
I had to build up. I had to save. I had the anticipation. And now the magic is lost for me in that sense because, man, I go there and I have enough to not get one, but I can get 2 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now at least you know if you're getting into a crap game.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, but see, back then,
You didn't even care.
I didn't care. I didn't care.
That's how you had people who loved Daydream and Davy.
Hey, fuck you.
That was, there you go, I got one on him. Or like
didn't
Jaws, for instance, because
Yeah.
it's like you had these shit games that.
But that was all
Well,
you
it
had.
was like-
so it's like
you
you just
had and you
played
loved
them,
it.
and
Like,
yeah.
speaking of Jaws, I mean, you make good point. You loved it. You played the heck out of it, and you loved it because you had it. But, like, Jaws now, back then, I rented it from Farmore.
Good old
And-
Farmore.
I rented it from Farmore, and you know what? You had Farmore. Not many people know about this. I got it from Farmore, but then next door was Pick and Save. Grocery stores rented movies
Oh, yeah.
and video
Yeah,
games.
4-Star Video started in
Swear I-
Pick and Save around.
And
Yeah,
that's another one. 4-Star Video was on Durand Avenue in Racine. And
Oh.
because when Blockbuster first came up, it was like $5 for one night.
Yeah.
We never went to
Jeez.
Blocks.
We never went
we
to
I didn't
went,
realize
Blockbuster.
it was that
we
expensive.
went
at
4-Star, and then when Family Video
We
originally
would go to
started,
4-Star.
like those
Yeah.
were the two we went to.
We did 4-Star, Powerhouse.
Powerhouse. I forgot
And
about that.
I wish.
every so
I
often
wish I could've.
Blockbuster. Like as it got later, the later
because-
consoles, we did like PlayStation and stuff.
One of the
we did from
reasons
them.
we didn't do Blockbuster very often was because at one point I know around here they required a paid membership.
Oh,
I don't remember.
I don't remember that. I
So-
just know that you needed the card, but you didn't have.
No,
to pay
there
for
was
that.
some paid membership thing at one of the locations here, which is why that original location closed.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would rent from Blockbuster, but
I think they
just-
got rid of it because none of the
I
competitors.
just remember. I remember games were like I think it was like $2.99 for like 3-day rental or something like that. So it ended up being like $1.
Originally, it started at $5
Yeah,
for one
that's,
night.
That's crazy.
And then, so we would never go there. We ended up going to 4-Star, and then Farmore came, and then Pick and Save, and they started doing the 3 nights for, I don't know, $3-4. So we would do that, but like I rented Jaws from Farmore, and I think it didn't have the manual, because if you didn't have the manual, some of them games you didn't know what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah.
We did Star Tropics.
Oh, I
And of
love
course,
that
you
game.
can't progress past the sub C
Without the letter.
without the letter. So once we rented it, we could get to that point. We either had to find our copy of Nintendo Power that had the code in it, or that's just basically as far as we could get.
Do you know what's funny is that Nintendo did that purposely to combat rentals at like places like Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Because they
that's
said,
what-
nope, if you want to pass this certain part, then guess what? You got to buy our game. You can't
Or
just rent
call
it.
us.
Yeah.
Or call us.
Yeah,
or
call the power, the tip line.
Yeah, for $1.95 a minute.
Yeah.
That's why games back in the day were so much harder in the U.S. than Japan, is to combat rentals.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's one thing that drives me batty is that there is no consistency in games saying like, oh, well, this game didn't come to the United States because it was deemed too hard for American gamers. But then when you take certain games, it's like, okay, so Super Mario Brothers 2 was originally not brought to the United States because they thought it was too hard, which actually, rightfully so, it was more trollish than anything.
It was a disgusting fucking abomination of a game.
But then
Lost levels.
you take a game like
Creon
the
Conquest.
Creon Conquest, and it's like, well, this game is like we got a version in the United States where you have 3 lives, you have no continues whatsoever. It's hard as shit, but it's like, okay, how did this come over? And you're like, oh, well, American gamers, they like to have games difficult. It's like, well, wait, one company saying that they're not good and they don't like difficult games, and then another company is
Wasn't
saying
there
the
a
opposite?
game too where our normal was their hard?
Mega Man 2.
Mega Man 2, yeah.
So
They
yeah.
didn't have a difference between beginner and normal. Or expert, I think it was called. Their normal was just expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours was you had either one.
Yeah.
But that was also because of outcry of how hard the original
first
Mega
one
Man
was,
was.
yeah.
We were like, this is too fucking hard.
Yeah,
But
I
then-
just remember like bits
And
and
then they-
pieces. I think there might be something else
And then
too.
they
that
tried
released
to-
that had
But
something
then you
like
have
that.
games like Creon Conquest,
Yeah.
where, like you said, they got rid of our continues. The Japanese version, if I'm not mistaken,
Had continues.
passwords too.
I think it had passwords, yeah.
And
as well.
God, I feel like they did something else where they tweaked health pickups or something. They did all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Because it's like there was no consistency.
Yeah.
It was either this game is brutal or this game is like for babies.
Yeah.
And
And
who
so
knows?
and so it just drives me nuts when they're like, oh yeah, the American gamers they don't like their games hard. It's like, and then you have certain companies where it's like, oh no, give it as hard as we can make it. It's like why?
I mean, if you look at the Mega Man series 1 through 6, you have one that's really hard, probably one of the hardest of that series.
Oh, and then they
2, which is for
overcompensated.
babies.
Yeah, they
3,
overcompensated.
which kind of goes back to the hard point, but just not quite as hard as 1, and then it
Yeah.
kind of evens out from 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden is another one. 1 is very, very hard. 2, not as much.
Yeah.
And then 3 went back to this is fucking insanity.
Yeah.
Because you have limited continues.
Limited continues
For the first time in the series.
makes no sense. Makes zero sense
So
why
it's-
you would have limited continues.
Yeah, you gotta wonder why.
You know, something I wanted to touch on. Back then, that kids nowadays don't have, 2 things. Magazines and the Christmas catalogs.
Oh, the Christmas catalog.
I miss the Christmas
I think we've
catalogs.
talked about Wishbook before.
Both the Wishbook
Sears,
and the Sears.
J.C. Penney's. My mom and dad would get them.
Toys
Yeah,
R
my
Us.
parents would
that's
They were
where-
sent to our
yep.
house every fucking year.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's where my Christmas list came from.
Ours too.
I would
Yeah,
go through
ours
there.
too.
Here's
I
the
want
book,
that
sir.
game. I
What your
want
kids
that
want.
game. I want
Exactly.
that. Oh my
Oh, God,
goodness!
it's like
There's
my
a Game
parents.
Boy now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember one year in particular that sticks out in my head is I was really into like not Nerf guns, but they were like the light up ones that would make like sounds and shit.
Oh yeah,
Laser
yeah.
tag?
You
Oh
keep
my!
doing-
It wasn't laser tag. It was just like these
Oh,
toy
just the light
fucking
and sound
plastic
guns?
Yeah,
Okay.
there was like cannons and all sorts. I remember
Yeah.
one year I went ham and I circled like the whole page. I just anything from these 4 pages. That's all I want. And I remember one year when we were huge into Legos. That's all I got was like 15 sets of different Legos
Oh,
that my
cool.
parents bought us. It was like,
Yep.
and then one year was
Yeah.
games, and it was just
Well, for
that
me-
book was incredible.
It, it was awesome because you had the toys, electronics,
everything.
video games. But for me, for my list, it was pretty much all video games.
Yeah.
Now, the one that I remember the most is when I was at my grandma and grandpa's over by your house, and when I got Little Nemo, the Dream Master, from
yes, that's a
my
good
grandma
game.
and grandpa. Now, I knew nothing about it, but man, when I put that game, that is a pretty good game. Now,
Yeah.
towards the end, you get to that last level, it gets
Yeah.
A little bit
harder.
difficult. Yeah.
But that's one that just sticks into my mind is opening that up and getting that game. And man, I had fun with that game. Now, you know, the magazines themselves, especially Nintendo Power, back at my peak, I had Nintendo Power, subscription, Game Pro, Xbox magazine, and PlayStation Monthly. So I had 4 at one time, but the best was always Nintendo Power because
Oh, tips
I
and
had
tricks.
I had 2 copies of that.
Tips and Tricks was the best.
Yeah,
Because it
I
covered
liked-
everything.
Because
I
I
like Tips and
think
Tricks.
it might have come with games. Was that EGM or GameStop that put that out?
Which
Tips
one?
and Tricks.
Game Informer was GameStop.
I don't know. Who
Or
put
not
out
Game
Tips
Game
and Tricks.
Pro.
Game
It was
Pro,
EGM or Game Pro. I thought put out Tips or Tricks.
I thought Tips and Tricks was its own
Do
thing.
you think
Yeah, I
it
thought-
was it its own thing?
Yeah, it was its own thing.
I might be thinking of something else then.
Because one of them was the one that had demo discs usually.
The PlayStation.
The PC
monthly.
ones always did too, because there was a
Yeah.
couple of like Diablo 2, well no, Diablo and like Blood. The way I originally tried those was a demo disc, and me and Mish played them.
Wow.
So
But the best thing about Nintendo Power is every time my subscription was coming up, I would wait till last because normally they'll throw in something. My first
Like a bonus,
subscription
yeah.
was my first subscription Nintendo Power. I got Dragon Warrior with the Explorer's Map.
Oh,
Nice.
right.
Or the
yes.
Explorer Handbook.
Yes.
And I love that game.
Dragon
It's
Warrior
probably
is
the one that
phenomenal.
really got me into RPGs because I didn't play. Well, Chad had Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was first.
Yeah. They were around the same time.
I don't. I think.
Technically, I think Dragon Warrior may have came out first in Japan, and
yes.
then like a couple months later. it
Dragon
was
Warrior,
Final-
I want to say,
Final
because
Fantasy.
what was Final Fantasy?
you know who
89 or
published
90?
that?
Who? Tips and Tricks?
Yeah. Guess what company published it?
Sega. I don't know.
It's not a video game company.
Hasbro.
Mattel.
Milton Bradley.
What? Just what? Who,
LFP.
Who's
What is
LFP?
LFP?
Larry Flint Productions.
way!
Oh my God! Tips
Hustler.
makes all the sense in the world.
Hustler. Are you serious?
Yes.
Hustler?
Get it? Tips and tricks, as in the tip of the penis,
Oh,
and,
God.
and
Oh, my
prostitutes.
God.
Oh my fucking God! Full circle.
Company LFP.
No way!
And here I thought I was full of shit with that porn opening.
Oh my
And
God.
it came, and it just come full circle. It came
full
for a circle
circle.
twice.
So, wow.
720, baby.
Wow.
I never would have guessed that was the
Oh
company
my
that put it
God,
out.
that's amazing.
Oh my
You knew
God.
ahead of time, didn't
You want
you?
me to put it back?
Fuck yeah. Give me the fucking glam.
Do you want me to put that back up here?
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
That's so.
I was-
Wow. So I ended up.
That is so funny.
Chad had Final Fantasy. I played the heck out of Dragon Warrior, which
Sure is.
RPGs are my favorite, and it's probably starting there, you know, with Dragon Warrior. And then every time I'd get something from Nintendo. I remember when I got, I thought it was Donkey Kong Country 64 and the banana controller.
They like you could order that from them. It wasn't like a free giveaway, was it?
It was a free game.
Oh.
It was a free giveaway. I can't remember if it was the controller and the game or if it was just the controller. It might have just been the
It might have been the controller because that was a $60
So
game.
it was the Nintendo 64 banana controller, and it's yellow, but it has brown on all three prongs at the bottom.
Sure.
And I just happened to look it up a few days ago. That controller's over $200 fucking dollars.
Of course, because
I'm like, oh my goodness.
It was only through Nintendo, I think, that you could get that.
And then other times, I got it's a paper guide and
yeah, I've got that
paper
same
booklet.
one. Yeah.
And they put out maybe 4 of them. It would say some of them were.
It's like, what was your what game you finished or for like passwords and stuff.
No,
Or-
not that. It's paper. You know, go on top of the box. Grab the stuff on top of my box.
Oh, so to quickly answer your question from before, Dragon Warrior's initial release in Japan was 86. Final Fantasy 1 was 87. So Dragon Warrior came first. We didn't get them until 89 and 90.
Which one was first here?
Dragon Warrior.
Okay.
August of 89, and then Final Fantasy was
So
90.
Chad had Final Fantasy, I had Dragon Warrior.
July 12th, 1990.
So they released some only as part of the subscription of freebie. There's probably, I don't know, 6-ish. And they had, some of them were, these are when Nintendo games were released. These were when Super Nintendo were released. These were when Game Boy were released. Some of them, the one I got was what games are in what issue of Nintendo Power. So you just look up the game, okay, it's issue 50, issue 80, issue 51.
Oh, cool.
And
That's huge.
I think it might have said if it was CC or CI classified information, it might have said the section.
God, that's what we need.
No.
Yeah, we need that.
I think
I'm able to look
there's,
them all up
there's
online now,
4 of
so.
them. I think I might have 2. Now this,
I remember the Inside Out.
this I
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, we can show it when we record,
Yeah.
but this Super Mario Brother 2, I do not remember this at all.
Yeah,
it must have been
it was in
within
issues of
it was in-
Nintendo Power.
It must have been the early ones because my
yeah.
subscription started on Dr. Mario, which was 11. It was the last
it
stapled
was before
copy.
that, yeah.
It was the last stapled copy was Dr. Mario. The next one they went to the glue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I got this off of eBay maybe last year, and I think I got this. Now this one is the official, at the time when this came out, January 1993. Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Nintendo.
The official Game Pack Director.
So this is when the game came out, what type of game, 1 or 2 player, if it's battery or password.
That's cool.
And then, but look, and where is it? This is my type of game. Paul will find this amusing. Look at the first game for Nintendo.
Tasmanian Story.
Towards the bottom. First one for Nintendo.
Oh, here it is. Games.
And it was never released.
Ace Harding
And it was
Lost in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Deja
really?
Vu 2
Yeah,
was
Deja
supposed
Vu
to
2.
come out. And I
was.
so wanted it, and it never came out.
Nope. And it wasn't until I found the Game Boy Color cart that was.
It's
I
got
think
the dual.
they called it Deja Vu 1 and 2,
It
and I'm
had
like,
both.
I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, this can't be. And then it was literally Ace Harding Lost in
never
Las Vegas.
released, and I so wanted it because
Yeah.
I love Shadowgate, Deja
I
Vu, and
loved
Uninvited.
I love Deja Vu.
I went and
the first
bought
time I
all 3 of
played it.
those games.
So the Inside Outs came in volumes 7 and 8 for Mario.
Volume 7
Hot
and 8.
Little
Yeah.
Samson.
Was it only these 2? Super Mario Brothers 2?
Yeah, they did a part 1 and a part 2
Yeah,
for that.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if there were
Okay.
other Inside Outs.
So this one is Worlds 1 through 4. Issue 8 must have been 5 through 8.
There wasn't
Or
other
7.
Inside Outs, but they did include the Dragon Warrior strategy guide in one of the issues as well,
Okay.
That's really
Okay.
as like as an insert.
I had never seen this.
Well, then
before.
I've never
these,
seen this either.
I have maybe 3 of them.
Of this?
Well, not the
cool.
same one.
Oh, damn.
The other ones I have are the ones for what games are in what issues of Nintendo Power. I went to my mom and dad's before this, and I was going to grab them, and I totally forgot.
It's funny, like, the only way, like, I knew certain games were out, or, like, what they were out for, was the Funko-Land paper.
The
Oh,
one they
paper.
used to tape down to the desk.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you could take one with you. It had, like, the list of the games and, like, what the prices were.
Yeah,
that was the
I remember
only way.
they used to have a copy like right by the
Yes.
checkout, and then they if you asked for one, they usually had a stack of them. They could hand you a few.
if
Yeah.
you want to know about prices, now, the guy that I got this off of eBay sent me a message and goes, do you want all this? I'll give you photocopies. I said, yeah, I want it. So I think you might have got this if you wrote into Nintendo and they send this back to you. So it's 100-year history of Nintendo.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Even better, back then, you want to know how much stuff costs? This is Nintendo's. You could order stuff directly from
replacement
Nintendo.
parts.
Replacement parts.
Zapper instruction manual, $1.75.
Get the fuck
Kind
out
of
You
expensive.
could order the 3D glasses for Rad Racer, $2. NES Advantage joystick knob, $3. All these manuals, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, $1.25.
Donkey Kong Jr. Math for the instruction booklet?
Instruction manual.
Oh, wow.
Balloon Fight, $1.25.
I always wished, like, when I was younger, I would have, like,
some of
filled those
these-
things out and mailed them for, like, the
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah,
and all
I
that
know,
stuff.
me
Like,
too.
Yeah.
like that big thing
too.
for Faria, where we had
Super
the,
Nintendo.
yeah.
the insert and stuff. Like, half of those came with, like, guidebooks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually
Yeah.
recently was looking through my Popful Mail instruction manual for the Sega CD. And in the back, of course, it had one of the cards you could send in to get the strategy guide for,
man.
like, $20. If
Yeah.
you look now, that strategy guide's almost $500. $500.
I know.
It's almost as much as the game.
I mean, they got Game Boy. You can manual, power cord, cleaning part kit. What else?
It's like I always
More
wish that I
manuals.
would have sent in for some of this shit.
That's why. Well, with that, I almost wonder if that was for like a specific retailer to.
It could have been.
Here's-
Because like replacement parts for stuff is more of a something that an authorized dealer would
It
do.
could have been.
Maybe.
Here's another one that was supposed to come out on the Nintendo but never did. Mini Putt
I never heard of that.
by JVC.
Wow.
A miniature golf game. Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
And it would have been for 4 players.
Oh, they would have used the satellite or the
Force
force score.
score.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. Mini Putt.
I never heard of that.
There was a lot of them that, yeah. I remember in some of the, we were looking through one of the Nintendo Powers, and it had that whole section of games that are upcoming, and it's like they were never.
There was
here.
oh no, and there was one that was
Star Fox 2.
no, not even just that. There was an issue of Nintendo Power that actually had a strategy for a game that ultimately never came out. Eon Man.
I remember that.
Yes.
Eon Man. It was literally one of the big strategies at the beginning of it for Nintendo, and it never ended up coming out.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It's crazy. Just the way gaming is now, and like the way you can
Color a
research it or whatever.
dinosaur.
I still need it.
Like,
You're gonna pay over $100
It's over
for
100
it.
now.
to me, this was the magic of that era. Was just the hearing things secondhand, like
yeah,
the Konami code. Like there was nowhere to go.
You would go
figure
to
that out.
school and you would talk video games.
Yeah.
Or someone would go, I got the latest issue of Nintendo Power and it's got this code for this.
Or my parents owned a liquor store, and we would sell magazines. So every so often we would get the new Nintendo Power in on those
the
magazine
other
racks.
thing.
We'd sit there and read it while
Yeah.
Grocery shopping with my mom, she'd shop. I'd sit at the magazines and
Yeah.
look at the
So
video game
yeah,
magazines.
too.
the pick and save that's up the road from us. They used to, when you walk in one of the doors, you'd come in and there would just be that long gray shelf they used to have.
Yeah.
I would literally sit on the floor and read the different game
I would
magazines.
just sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Hell, there were a couple of times I brought in paper and a pen to write stuff out of tips and tricks.
Yeah, I mean, I read
Because
a
like my
lot of
parents,
the old.
we didn't always have the money to buy me the magazines and stuff. So
Right.
Yeah.
there were times when I would copy stuff because I'm stuck. Well, I just got this game. I'm going to do this, or I'm renting a game. I'm going to copy it because so it's like okay.
Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of the original like Sonic the Hedgehog comic books from
Oh,
that.
yeah,
You know, I
the
think I read
Archie
the whole
series.
first run of
Yeah.
it. Like,
I-
it was incredible. I loved that era.
Oh, it was
of
so
everything.
nice, and there's times when I wish the internet didn't happen.
Well,
Right? It was
Yeah.
progress, but at the same time, it destroyed. Certain
mean,
things.
it's
Destroyed the magic.
a little
yes.
bit.
I just say it's simultaneously the most useful tool that's ever been invented,
And,
and
single-handedly most
also like
destructive.
the most vile thing that's ever
I
been
know.
invented.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, because it's pretty much people go to the internet for like their news for like, okay, what's coming up, and that's pretty much what destroyed like video game publications and stuff, like Nintendo Power.
Well,
I mean,
they were dying before the internet because the cost, like, they used to be monthly, and then they went down to so many times a year.
Yeah. And
then they kept reducing because price for print media kept going up and could not keep pace with what they were taking in. That's one of the reasons print media started dying so much, was the cost to print and ship and do all, like, keep all this stuff was just becoming too much.
Pay someone to deliver it.
That's why, like, early magazines, you remember they were like glossy paper?
Oh yeah.
And then some of them went to like the pulp paper again and stuff like that because it was too expensive.
Yeah.
Like these companies couldn't keep up.
Yeah, and I'm still. I wish internet didn't happen at times, but also saying that there is a lot of good because I probably would not be sitting here right now because I did not know you guys when you guys were younger. It was all through the two dudes and the NES.
Yeah. Shout out, two dudes.
And the funny thing is, when I was in Racine, we've only been 15, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And then you lived near where my grandma and grandpa lived.
Yeah.
But it's just so expensive now. But I guess I never answered the question how I got into collecting.
Yeah, I was to say, I guess we never did.
We started in the Sega Master
It's like an
System.
hour, 12-minute side trip here.
You know, I got into Nintendo. I finally got Nintendo. I worked at Sears, Shopco down in Racine.
Shopco.
And ended up getting a Super Nintendo with I bought Super Street Fighter 2 at the same time. And then, you know, just gradually started getting into more, but I would say probably there was no intent of really collecting. It was more, I want games, I like video games.
Which is usually how it starts.
But,
I feel like Paul's kind of started that way too at a point.
I just want these. Yeah,
you just want these ones, and then it kind of grew into, well, I might as well.
I'd go to rummages. I'd go to Goodwill and, you know, buy the stuff. When you could go to Goodwill, I'd get games $2-3, but it was probably. I'd say I grew up with the Commodore 64, but Nintendo was the system I loved, the original NES, and maybe 90 to mid 90s, maybe it's like I want to get all the Nintendo games, but at that time I didn't realize how many there were. We didn't have internet and all that.
Yeah,
that was almost like a system shock when Paul and I met. He wasn't collecting as heavily, and then once I don't remember exactly how you kicked off into like, well, I'm actually gonna collect all of these for real. But like when he told me there were 600 something, I was like, get the fuck out of here! Like Little Samson, I had never heard of.
I've never heard of tons of games.
To be honest, more than half of the original NES's library, I've never heard of.
No, you're right.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, and that's
Lampur. That
Lampur. Yeah,
like I've never heard of that. The Genghis Khan games. What?
Yeah.
Like other than like the main Nintendo ones and then like the movie license ones.
Yeah.
Like and then RPGs. Those were like all I heard of.
And it's funny too because I remember I would be going through like the list of games and I would mark off like, okay, which ones are expensive ones at the time. And one of my lists, I didn't even mark off Little Samson as an expensive one because I didn't know that it was an expensive game.
When would you? That was 2001, 2002. You and I started hanging out.
2002. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I finished your thought.
No, that's fine. But 2002, 2003 is when I first started, and I mean, Little Samson. I didn't even know that it was an expensive one, and then it wasn't until, when I started like looking up individual games, and I saw that Little Samson was like $200 or $300 at the time, and I'm like, why is this game so expensive? But yeah, it's insane.
I always forget that price charting doesn't really go back that far. But as of right now, Little Samson's $23.30 something.
Yeah, that's
about $2,300. So the
insane.
Earliest price this has, November of 2007, $55.
Yeah.
And that's as far back as... So it was probably even cheaper than that.
God, I wish...
Back in 2001, 2002.
And that's one of those things where I wish I could just go back in time knowing like what I know now. And I would just I would buy every single copy of Little Samson I could.
Right?
when back then, I'd hit Value Village, and when it would have been about 2000, 2001, when I did landscaping. I worked in Kenosha. Mm-hmm. I did landscaping, and I'd get everything done by Thursday. I'd work Monday, Thursday. I'd have Friday off. I'd hit Goodwill. I'd hit Value Village. I'd hit the rummages. And I'd buy. And at that time, I could remember what I already owned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd buy everything. I mean, and it just wasn't Nintendo. I remember I got a Magnavox Odyssey 2 at Value Village one time. Mm. And so I'd buy everything. At that time, $3, $2. I remember Goodwill had a Genesis Sega CD and like 5 Genesis games for like $10. Mm-hmm. And
I remember going to a rummage sale. I found an Atari 2600, the junior version, and like 20 some odd games, and it was $10.
Yeah, I would. Well, you guys know, I went through my Atari 2600 and found out I had 9 consoles.
Well, at the time, spending $15, $20 for that, you might as well.
And I'd keep the games. Now, I went through them and I sold 2 of them now, so I'm down to like 6, 7. But I have all the double games. Now, I'd go through and get that, and then I remember, and I'm still kicking myself, Hollywood Video on Ohio and Washington and Racine, when they closed out in early 2000, I think it was like buy 3 Nintendo games for $10, and I didn't buy shit.
That's like when Paul, near the end of Game Crazy's life.
I just found this old ad for used NES games. Little Samson, $2.99.
Get the fuck out.
Wait,
of
what?
here.
What's it? What?
FuncoLand's old
$2.99.
Little Samson.
That's why it's always fun to me when you come across games now that still have like the old stickers.
Yeah.
Of,
February
like, what they
1998,
were.
FuncoLand's prices for NES games.
Oh, that's awesome.
This page sold for fucking.
I would give anything to have one of those the FuncoLand newspapers and stuff. God, I remember.
I might have one somewhere.
Because like I always like seeing pictures of like on eBay of people selling games, and I remember seeing like a Kuon where they have like an old like Software Etc. or whatever sticker at $10.
Yeah.
And you're like, get out of here. Or even some of my old ones that I have too, where it's still got the original price tag on it, and you're like,
well, I actually have like my copy of Silent Hill on the PlayStation. I still have the GameStop receipt when I bought it. I paid $12.99 for it.
It's crazy
at GameStop. At GameStop.
Yeah, and we used to tear those off.
I've been holding on to my receipts. I used to just throw them away.
The best is when you buy a used game and you find a receipt in the instruction manual.
Oh, I love that.
Because what was that one year? I think it was the first year we recorded the Midwest Gaming Classic, where I think I bought Arx Fatalis for the Xbox, and it had like that. It had Virtual Bart and something else that they bought from.
Oh, see everything that they bought
from somewhere, and it listed the price, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
It's just that the nostalgia in that, or you get a rental sticker, or you find a game. Maybe even if it's online and they're out of Wisconsin, and then you get the game. It's got a rental sticker from Wisconsin. It's like
the 4-star video one.
How did it end up in Idaho?
Yeah,
that's actually one thing that some people they hate when there are labels or stickers.
I used to remove them,
and to be quite honest,
now I wish I didn't.
I love getting games, and I will more than likely buy a game that's got a rental store sticker on it versus one that's clean, because at least I know that this used to be a former rental. Oh, this is an authentic. Legit. This is a legit game.
Well, that was like when because you were talking about how you with the Sonic thing, you would look for dirty labels, dirty whatever, like basically not mint. It's like Paul and I almost want to find games that are in worse for wear condition, because then you at least know it's real.
It depends on the type of worse for wear. Because like water damage, like severe water damage,
smoke damage,
something like that. There are certain types of damage you do not want.
You just kind of want to see like the little nicks on the label or the markings on it or whatever. Somebody, when you get those that have the address of the person written on the back.
Yeah.
This was Tony's
number. I was actually considering calling some of those phone numbers.
How many of them are landlines?
Tony, I have your
is this?
Yeah.
No.
It just would have been cool to like just somehow see like the history of where a game has been.
Oh,
What
that's
store it's been,
so
and who's
awesome.
had it, and where it just. To me, that's
I
fascinating.
wish I would have had some of those Farmore games.
Right?
Or even Pick and Save, and it's like,
Because Farmore, I remember specifically, you walked in, and then you would kind of take a left, and then you would take a right, and it was in like the corner.
yeah. Did they have one in Kenosha?
No, it was in Racine.
Okay, yeah,
it was,
the one
it was
in
like
Racine,
where that Funko
you
Land
walked
was.
in, Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinet.
Yep.
You go in, and then take a right, and it's right in that corner.
Yep. It was great. I loved
And
Farmore.
I rented Game Boy games there, Nintendo.
Hell,
Oh man,
I didn't say because
so
I
great.
remember like for around here like with Pick and Save when they first started doing the 4-star in it. Do you remember they literally just erected a cage in the front of the store?
Yeah, I remember that.
It was
Oh,
just
you
not
walk
by
in,
us.
You
It
walk
was-
in through the entrance.
they literally just had this cage set up at the front of the store that you walked in and it was just a counter
Yeah,
with
yeah.
all the games hung on this cage.
Yep, you
Really?
walk.
Yeah.
You walked.
And then at
into
night
the
they closed
store.
and locked it with a padlock.
Yeah, you walked into the store
Wow.
and it was right on the right. It's like then it became like I knew it not when it was like the cage, but it was like a sealed off
Then they built the actual
portion. Yeah,
walls
where it was
and
like
stuff.
walls
It was
and
a
stuff, and
cage
it looked like a.
originally.
It
Oh,
looked like
ours
a
had
rental
a
store.
separate
Remember the
section.
cage.
Because it was literally just like a chain link fence or something put up in the store, right in the front.
Yeah.
Just like
It was
I remember
weird.
Toys R Us with the tickets.
Yeah.
The tickets and the sleeves.
Oh, I wish
And that's
they
how
still
you
had
knew
that.
something
I
was
wish
bought
I
out.
had the tickets and.
Yeah.
I mean, Toys R Us was great because they had games that the normal retailers would not get.
Yes.
And
Toys
I
R Us was
remember
huge.
it
Yeah.
was 4 aisles maybe. Saturn, Super Nintendo. Man, I remember when they saw a Nintendo Game Boy. Did they ever make it to PlayStation with the pull tags? I don't think so.
I believe they did.
Nintendo
Oh, yeah, they
64
did.
was
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
oh,
know.
yeah, the long boxes because they did for
Yeah,
those.
yeah, no, I bought.
Well, yeah, they had Saturn. And that was about the same time as PlayStation.
At Toys R Us, I actually had the. I remember buying my copy of Metal Gear Solid at Toys R Us, and I had the pull tab.
Yeah.
I love that. And then you go give it to them at the special section.
like right on the way out. I
yeah,
think usually.
and then they would go in the back and get it
They
and
would get
give
the
it to
game
you.
and then
You'd
give it to
pay
you,
for
yep.
it and then go to this little section.
Yep.
that was so cool.
But that was so awesome. And then they got rid of it. They changed it. It was like a normal retail store, which it wasn't as fun. But I still remember going there. I think that's where I got Clockwork Knight for the Saturn.
Nice.
I love that game. I wish I had the
we got
second
Clockwork
one.
Knight 2.
I love that one. That's a kind of pricey game.
Well, not mine because I have only this,
you
but
throw it all away. Yeah,
don't get me started on
I
that.
like Clockwork Knight. That was a good one.
Those were just not great storage cases, though. I mean,
Oh no, that's where it's like gaming around that era really wasn't easy.
no.
Because like the Saturn boxes, notorious for breaking. Those
Yeah.
fucking spines on those were so fragile. I
Sega
actually
CD.
I brought a box of old games that my dad gave me not that long ago, and I had one of the games slipped out. Fucking case just shattered.
Oh, of course it did.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like PGA Tour '96. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
But
nobody
like,
cares.
I remember a lot of our Saturn games back then had the broken tabs because those boxes just were designed like shit. Even the PS1 games really weren't designed all that well.
The PS1, the thin jewel case ones I didn't have an issue with. The long box
Yeah.
ones were garbage.
That's why, like, back even the
Oh, yeah.
Genesis era used to piss me off when instead of having the hard clams, they went to the
paper
Oh, they went
ones.
to
the
cardboard.
cardboard fucking the
Yeah.
Shining Force 2.
I hate those.
Yeah.
Fantasy Star 4. We had a whole shitload of them that were those fucking cardboard cases.
X-Men 2 was
Yeah.
that way too. They put it in the paper. Sonic and Knuckles was
Yep.
paper.
Yeah,
Sonic and
one of the
Knuckles.
stalkers. Which one was it?
One
Not
of the-
Landstalker. What's
Yeah,
the other one?
Landstalker.
Was
I
it-
believe
was it Landstalker?
was the cardboard case. It's just it almost started around that era when
Yeah.
they switched from the solid clams to the
well, it was
things.
again cheaper to manufacture, so that's why.
Those clam shells were so much better though.
Oh, they were
I-
100%. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And even back then, I wasn't really like super into Sega Genesis. Like when I started collecting in 2003, I didn't actually really go after any Sega games until 2006.
Yeah.
But I've never been a big fan of Genesis, but I liked the clamshell designs. They
Well-
stored really nicely
Oh, yeah.
and just were.
It almost made those games even harder to collect because now, at least with the clams, if a case was rough, you could just swap out the artwork to a different case, you know. And it's,
Yep.
those fucking cardboard ones, that was the artwork.
That was it. Yep.
So it's like if that got damaged, well, you're fucked. Like that basically was your shit. You know, that's why it killed me when I lost all the instructions for my Saturn games in that flood in my basement. It killed me.
Well, that's why like Nintendo sold. They had that black box that with the trays.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where you could slide it open and store, what was it, 20 games or something like that in the
something like
bottom,
that.
and then controllers in the top. That's why it's because it's one of the reasons they chose cheaper boxes was so they could sell you these accessories.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Of course.
It was all like, yeah, it's a cost saving method for weight, for shipping, and for production. But it's also a marketing gimmick to make you buy more.
The long boxes to me were like the worst thing ever. Which is they took up so much room.
Yeah.
Especially when everything started to go CD. Like everything was the long box.
See, and the long boxes for me, I almost wonder if that was just a printing issue. That because there weren't as many smaller like CD jewel cases, the printing wasn't quite at that level for the detail for those yet.
Maybe.
Because if you look at the printing for jewel cases that came out around that time versus the long boxes looked better.
They did.
The pictures were clearer, the colors were better. But like, I almost wonder if that's part of the reason long boxes were a thing.
Could it be the manual?
But there's that too.
Could be.
So many pages, a small one, you're gonna have
Well, and
more
that's
pages.
why
because you look at a lot of the manuals of the Saturn and the Sega CD, the fucking manuals are
Well, that's why,
gorgeous.
like, if you look
There's
at
so
games
much extra
for
artwork.
PS1 that, like, was it Jade Cocoon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It comes with the dual case
It's a dual
because,
case, but one
because
disc.
the booklet is so big, it won't
Yeah.
fit in a standard case.
That's because we had asked the question, why the hell do they put the double case for games that only have the one disc?
That's literally what it was for, is for
manuals
instruction
to fit.
booklets and then the pack-ins that don't fit
Yeah.
in the standard
Well,
case.
that's the other thing. Games back then, you'd get a poster, you'd get sign up for this club, this, that. Nowadays, it's like
You don't even
nothing.
get an instruction book.
You don't even get an instruction book. Sometimes it's empty. Every once in a while, maybe you'll see
There's a
a.
pack-in of,
Or
advertisement.
reversible cover art.
yeah.
I mean,
That's a
that was
big
the
thing
coolest
now.
thing. You get that poster from Nintendo or for the Genesis, and it show the games coming out.
Join
Sega
the Fun
Master
Club
System.
news.
Well, it's like you look at
Nintendo Fun Club.
even back on the
Yeah.
NES when if you bought Final Fantasy, you got the Explorer's Handbook,
get a
got
map.
the two
Oh,
posters,
man.
you got the map and the one that gave all the weapons and spells. I want to say Dragon Warrior or something.
Dragon
like that.
Warrior.
Dragon Warrior had a map.
Yeah.
You don't get maps. You don't get anything.
No.
And I love bringing out that map, looking at.
Well, to be
Oh,
honest,
man.
getting maps nowadays isn't as big of a thing because a lot of games, the map is in the game to look at.
That's true.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
look
true.
at Skyrim. Like, yeah, I have a map for my copy of Skyrim,
true.
but the map for Skyrim is useless because the in-game map like allows you to mark locations, do stuff.
Right, right.
You needed the map for old RPGs for like Final Fantasy and stuff because you didn't know where to go
Yeah.
otherwise.
And
I
usually
love
those
that,
maps
yeah.
told you a
I
number.
love
of
sitting it out and.
how
that's
lost
actually-
would have been in Faria
I actually have
if
some.
we didn't look up the PDF of that map.
I actually have some like game maps. It's from like Skyrim, I think Oblivion, and a couple other ones where I have them. I want to get them encased in plastic, so that like dry erase compatible plastic, so I can put them up on my
sure,
wall
yeah.
and
That'd
stuff.
be cool.
So
yeah.
like they're sealed in UV plastic, but then if I play the game, I can mark on the map and be
Chart
like,
it
"Look,
out.
this-
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
I really want to do that,
cool.
but
Yeah, and then just use dry erase markers
Yeah.
to plot it.
it just
Yep.
the only thing is cost to get it done is kind
But
of an
that's-
issue for me.
It's like we were with those RPGs. It felt like every copy was a collector's edition. You have now collector's editions, but it's like soundtrack, art book, whatever. But
Figurine.
that was the collector's edition back then. Was to have all like the extra large manual. Because I remember Starflight for the Sega Genesis had it was the instructions, but then it also like 3/4 of that manual was the captain's log.
Or-
Basically, the story of the game told
Yeah.
from the previous captain of the ship ship
wow.
before you, and it actually had a key part that you needed to see in it. It gave you a coordinate for like somewhere in the galaxy that you had to go to get this black egg that blew up planets.
It's like Metal Gear
It was
Solid
fucking
on
cool.
the back for what's her name's codec number.
Yeah,
Oh,
for the codex number.
For was it Meryl?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Meryl's
I
number.
think so.
It was just like shit like that. It was that was so magical as a kid. And yeah, now it's almost like, why even bother getting a game complete?
You don't even,
because there isn't really a complete anymore. It's just the cartridge and maybe the cover art.
you don't even get a manual. I mean, the first thing you did when you left the rental store or you bought a game is you read the book in the car.
Oh yeah.
And I always liked having it right next to me because then I could go through it when I'm playing the game if I needed it.
Well, and that was something like for long trips because I used to go to Detroit to visit my grandparents. So car rides, if I wasn't on, like it was one of my siblings' turn to play Game Boy, I'd have the Metroid 2 manual. I'd have some of the manuals or comic books with me, and I was reading those.
Yeah.
Until it got too dark, and then you're like, I can't see shit holding you up, trying to get passing light.
I'm jealous of you. I can't read in a moving car. I will get so sick. Yeah.
Fucking
Really?
baby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the other thing back then. They used to have different companies where you could get a video game, use points or whatever. That's how I got my copy of Metroid 2 for the Game Boy, was Kool-Aid points from Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Kool-Aid points.
Yeah, I didn't say like the
remember
nearest thing I could think of that does that still. The Halo franchise does it a lot with Mountain Dew and energy drinks. Where
Yeah.
you'll get in-game, you'll get in-game stuff for buying the soda, and you'll get
You'll get a
codes on.
code.
But it's all digital. It's not
it's all
physical.
That's why I said it's the only equivalent I can think of.
No, it's-
So,
yeah.
I still remember getting that in the mail.
all right, well,
Other than like
Points.
Nintendo points.
Nintendo does it because they do Nintendo points where you can actually convert it into real money to buy games through their store.
Well, they have that, but then they also have like the platinum points where you can actually go on like I can't remember what the site is.
Yeah,
but you
go
can
to the
buy
store.
like keychains and posters
I got
and shit with that.
I got a
I
bunch
think they're
of
platinum
stuff
points.
from them.
Yeah. It's cool. Like that.
I think Nintendo might be the only one that does it that way anymore.
It was a lot better before they went to this new system. 'Cause
Other
you
than
could
limited
get
run
real
games when they do stuff, because limited run when they'll even print manuals for games that didn't come with manuals.
Cave Story,
Yep.
I know came with me. What is it? Alex Kidd and something
Miracle World.
something for the PS4 that just came out. Not that
Miracle
long ago.
World, I think it was.
Yeah, my brother got me a copy of that for Christmas, and it came with a manual. And I still love reading. Shantae and Half Genie Hero came with a manual.
They all
cool.
have manuals, and they've been doing. Sega CD is my second favorite system because once I saw the video or commercials, this was when I started going to Best Blockbuster because they changed to I think like 3 nights for like $4 or something because no one, it was so expensive. Everyone started shifting to 3 or 5 nights, and I didn't have a Genesis Sega CD at the time, but looking through there and seeing some of the commercials and looking at this and like, yeah, now it looks like crap, but at that time, you go from Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, PS1 blew me away.
Fuck yeah.
Sega CD was mine.
Well, I still can't believe it because I mean, the graphics at the time were just top notch, were incredible, and some of them, it's like you look back on them now and you're like, wow, how did this even
Well,
pass
I'd say
for
even
playable?
look at the jump from like Atari and stuff to the NES.
Yeah.
Compare Mario 1 to some of the stuff.
Nintendo 64 is the one that sticks in my mind.
Nintendo 64, like I mean, GoldenEye.
GoldenEye is usually the titular one.
No, the one that cemented the graphical jump for me would have been Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah,
That was a
before.
freaking movie unto it, like compared to everything else.
But you go back
So-
to that now and you're like, what is that
you're like,
anything?
is that
What
a
is
face?
Meryl's face?
Is that his face?
Well, you even look at like those memes of like FF8 where with Squall against the thing and it's this pixelated mess of a face and
Yeah.
it's just so funny to see.
Yeah.
But no,
it was like top notch back then.
It's funny you talk about how you love, or Nintendo was always on your wish list of things to get. Sega CD was mine. As a kid, I would see the Shining Force
once
CD
I saw
ad.
it-
I always wanted it.
Once
Never got it.
I went in the Blockbuster and I looked at this Dracula Unleashed and the full motion video, I'm like,
Oh
my
yeah.
goodness.
FMVs
And I
were
love
incredible back then.
freaking full motion video games because of that. And then I'm like,
Night Trap.
I gotta get a Sega CD. So I got a CDX. I still have my original CDX, and so CDX do Genesis, Sega CD. The 32X is not supposed to work with it, but it works for me. So
That's the one where it was all in one, right?
it was all.
The
You remember what Discman looked like, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just taller and longer.
Okay, yeah, because
Carts going here, and then CDs right here.
mine, I know, because I have a Sega CD, but it's for the Gen 2 Genesis where it hooks into the side. Wasn't
Yeah.
the CDX just one thing?
It was,
there
one
no
tiny
adapter?
unit. I mean, it's smaller than this.
Yeah, yeah. Mine has
Piece
to
of
have a
paper.
whole other power base. I mean, it needs like 2 outlets for 2 fucking power things.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
And so once I got that, I'm like, oh, I loved the full motion video. But man, when it came with the 4-in-1 or the 5-in-1 with Golden Axe, Shinobi.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, the yeah.
there's 2 of them. There's a 5-in-1 and a 4-in-1.
No, there's a 6-in-1 too, isn't there?
I
had
don't
the 6.
think so.
I had
I
the
thought it
6-in-1
was-
for Sega Genesis.
I
Though.
thought it was 4 and 5.
Let me see. I
And-
know which
'Cause
one you're talking. I know exactly which one.
Because I remember that because
remember
Shinobi and Golden Axe were
Yeah.
the 2 I played
Yep.
constantly.
Oh, he's got it.
Yeah, it was the 6-pack. So
Oh, for Genesis,
for
yes.
Genesis.
Not for Sega
Golden
CD.
Axe, Sonic the Hedgehog, Revenge of Shinobi, Columns, Streets of Rage, and Super Hang-On.
Oh, and Streets of Rage. I would have played that.
And then
This is beat up.
the Sega CD came with the 4-in-1 and there was a 5-in-1.
Yeah.
And then mine also came with Sonic CD, and it blew me away the first time I played Sonic CD. And we didn't have that came with, what is that, the RCA composite.
Oh,
that-
yes,
the
yes.
plug-in. I had to hook it up to our Commodore 64 monitor, and it blew me away with Sonic CD.
Sonic CD is such a great game too.
Oh, and this leads in, I guess, into something else I was thinking. If you don't do anything, it does the intro.
Yeah.
And it had a freaking song, and that blew me away.
Yeah.
It had audio
Yeah.
or voices, and it was a whole song, that whole opening. And that's, I think, is the best Sonic game ever, Sonic CD.
I have to
It
get
is.
that one.
It is.
I'll have to get that one
I
sometime.
love it.
Yeah.
What?
Dark Brotherhood was better.
I never. But
Oh, the one with the DS.
Sonic
yeah.
06.
Yeah, Sonic 06.
No, it's an RPG, so I mean,
oh,
I have a guide for that.
for
actually.
DS,
For the
I think it was,
DS.
yeah.
Sonic move,
But
Sonic move, Sonic move. That was the song that. I
oh
think
man,
played in-
and I love it. I'm
I'll
like,
have
this
to
is so.
look for Sonic CD at some point.
This
Yeah.
is so freaking awesome. And I'm like, it's just so cool. And then I rented Dracula Unleashed from Blockbuster. I'm like, oh my goodness, have any of you guys played that?
No,
Full motion video.
I've seen some of the the
Section of
videos
that
for it, but yeah, I've never.
I mean,
That's right. Sonic CD, I think, was the introduction of Metal Sonic.
yes,
No, it wasn't.
yeah, it was.
he's in Sonic 2.
He's in Sonic 2.
Is he?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
he's in
right.
Death Egg Zone. Yeah,
Yes, he is. But
he's
right before.
he's right before Robotnik.
right before Robot.
Well, Sonic CD. I think you have to get all the gems to see Metal Sonic.
No,
Well, it's weird because I think
No?
in Sonic 2 they don't call him Metal
Oh
Sonic.
no,
I don't think they call him Metal Sonic. He's just a robot that
Because
looks like Sonic.
he's not
Yeah.
that. He's not that design. It's just a
No, it's just
no.
a metal. It's just a metal.
Sonic
yeah.
CD was I think the start of that version
Yeah.
of Metal
That was
Sonic.
Metal Sonic though, right there.
Yeah, the other one I don't think they called him Metal Sonic. It
I
was
don't remember.
something
I
different.
don't remember it in Sonic 2.
Yeah, because he was right before you fought the big Robotnik bot.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed your
Oh,
story
that's
there.
all right. But when I rented Dracula Unleashed, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. It's all acting, voices, and it's like a huge story. I'm like, this is so cool. And then the boxing one, which I can't remember the name now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Sonic 2.
Oh, okay, that I remember
Right,
that.
right. I remember the Sonic
that
2,
one.
but I don't. I want to say they didn't call him Metal Sonic in that.
No,
No, it was
they
Mecha.
never. Yeah, they never.
They never named him.
They never named him.
It was Mecha Sonic
Mecha.
back then.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I think Sonic CD they started calling him Metal Sonic.
Yeah, but it was also Eggman too. Instead
Yeah.
of
Eggman and Dr. Robotnik.
instead of Dr. Robotnik. Yeah.
Now that's like when Princess Toadstool converted to Peach, even though she was always Peach in Japan, but Princess Toadstool for us.
Jumpman Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the full motion videos just blew me away. And then I started collecting Sega CD. Well, not collecting, because at that time I wasn't collecting but most of my money was going to Sega
Oh, yeah.
CD.
It's just one of those things where you saw the one that caught your interest, and you're
I'm
like,
like,
why not?
oh my
Well,
goodness.
that was too around that time. You knew, a certain company did a game. You knew it was going to be great. Working designs. Any working
I
designs
had
game
to get
is
the
fucking
RPGs.
incredible.
When I rented Vi,
Oh yeah,
yes. So I had
Which
to go
one's-
get that.
or VAY.
VAY.
VAY. I don't think
Yeah,
you've
it's
ever
just
seen
VAY.
it.
I don't think I've seen that one. Yeah.
And
Really?
I'm like,
Oh, wow.
any working design game on there? Oh my goodness. I never knew
Gorgeous.
Popful Mail came
Yeah.
out, otherwise I would have got it. I so wanted that one.
Yeah.
But Vi, Lunar, and I didn't
both Lunar
realize
games.
there's two of them. I only have one.
Lunar, Silver Star Story, and Eternal Blue.
I
I
think
have both of them.
I think I have Eternal Blue.
And to
then
be honest, I didn't even know those existed until I got the complete collections for the PS1 when they released the Omaka
I have
boxes.
that one.
I have those
with
too
the,
as
with
well.
the bag and
Yeah.
the medallion. I
Yeah,
think
and that was back when games were still affordable too, because
Yeah.
I remember getting you both of them for it was $45 a piece.
Yes, which now they're
They're
not.
probably a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Shining Force CD.
Shining Force CD,
I
that-
picked that up.
Oh my god! The very first game I got when I bought myself a Sega CD was Shining Force CD.
But do you have the RAM cart?
I do.
You cannot play without
I
the
do
RAM
have the
cart.
RAM cart. I was
Yeah.
that because that was another thing I bought immediately was the RAM cart. Same with like my Saturn. We
I
got
think
the
that's
memory
the
cartridge
only
right
one
away.
you cannot play with unless you have a RAM cart.
Mhm.
You can't
Was
play
the-
the second story.
Was it with you that the Sega was it your Sega CD or your Saturn where you ended up having to get another power brick because the one wasn't strong enough or something like
That
that?
was my Sega CD.
Because we tried like every
You have
power
to
brick
be
you
careful.
had.
You can blow the Sega CDs.
Well, the
if you don't
problem
have
was like
wrong
the
one.
ones he got like a
They were
a
like-
replica one
Yeah.
that didn't supply enough power to the
It
system.
wasn't strong enough. Yeah.
So we tried like every power brick he owned until I think we found one that worked,
Yeah.
and then you went online and got an actual one.
yeah.
Oh,
That was
man.
like I said. I didn't have the all-in-one. I had the seven.
And that was so
days.
weird because like you could hear it spin up, but the games would never load.
No, it wasn't
just
it
not
just
enough
wasn't strong.
juice. Huh?
Yeah, it was
That's
weird.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I got both the Model 1 Genesis and Sega CD, but I've never hooked them up. Again, it was all Goodwill. I think I
Yeah.
got them from. So I really don't
Got to
know
make
if
that
they
tower
work.
of power for it.
That I'm about to say that's why like Sega, for all intents and purposes, could have just buried Nintendo. Like how awesome of a system is that? Where the Genesis has these peripherals. It's basically another console that works with your existing console. Like Nintendo and Super Nintendo and all that. Like it was a separate thing.
To be honest,
Like-
after Sony and Nintendo had the falling out of designing the system together, I'm surprised Sega didn't try to partner with them.
There was actually
Was there talk of
there
it?
was talk
I think
of
there
it.
was.
Yeah.
talk.
Because like, had they actually joined forces, could you imagine having all like those Sega games go to
The Sega
the-
PlayStation.
on PlayStation?
I think it was. I can't remember who tried to contact who. It never materialized. But I want to say it was Olaf Olafsson from Sony,
Sony.
that reached out to Tom Kalinske to
Wow.
say, because basically because of what happened to them. They basically said, okay, who is
Yep.
Nintendo's biggest rival? Oh, it's Sega. Okay, let's see if we can partner
Sega
with them.
Japan again.
Yeah.
And then if none of this happened, we would not have a PlayStation. We would not have a CDI.
But you know what?
Wow.
Do you know what is interesting though? Is because I actually just heard about that, about how there could have been like a Sega PlayStation, and so in the case of like a Nintendo PlayStation, for history purposes, I am so glad that never happened, because I think that you would have had things that would never have come to fruition on Nintendo's side or on Sony's side.
I
Definitely.
agree.
Sony was
I
willing
can
to
see
push an
that.
envelope
But when
Nintendo was never
But
willing
when
to
I
touch.
heard about Sega, I'm like, you know what? That one hurts. I would have loved for Sega to be aligned with the PlayStation, because I think you would still
would
have
love that.
you would still have had Sega, I think, making like systems, but they would have had the backing of Sony. They would have had great games, great titles, and I don't think that overall it would have changed the course of history. It would have just kept Sega alive.
Yeah.
basically.
Or more relevant. I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, Sony ImageSoft started developing on the Sega CD because they were trying to get into
Yes, they did.
partner with
Yep.
Sega.
Yeah,
And that's how that all
that's what
started.
I think. Was it Dracula? Was Sony ImageSoft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Pan was. I remember that one, and Was it Bram? Was it Bram
It was
Stoker?
Bram what?
Bram
Bram
Stoker.
Wait.
Back to barn, baby.
Wait, what did I
Bram Stoker.
Oh,
Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Bram
and
Stoker.
then Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Bram Stoker.
That sounds like a porn name.
I was gonna say that. Guess we got his porn name now.
Vampire porn.
Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker. That's awesome. In my phone, I'm changing his name to Bram Stoker.
What about Vanderschlong?
Nope. Yes, you've already got your new one.
No,
No, you could do hyphenated with that one.
actually, to be honest, like, yeah, the way you... If Nintendo PlayStation had happened... Because Nintendo, I feel like the only reason that they never pushed the envelope with, like, graphics and stuff, where they went more for innovation rather than cutting-edge graphics, was because they knew they couldn't compete with PlayStation and Xbox.
Was it that or price? It'd be too expensive.
Maybe. But because that's why I feel like Nintendo even is still a thing right now, is because they chose not to compete with the other two. They're like, we're doing our own thing.
Yeah.
You guys can fight it out amongst yourselves. You know, because, I mean, when you look at Nintendo, Nintendo's never known for having cutting edge graphics.
Yeah,
Nobody
but-
ever points to a Nintendo game and says, this is the best looking game of the year.
Yeah, but they also
Even GameCube, no.
they have
When the
screwed.
Resident Evil remake came out, yeah.
Oh, that was so
was
good looking.
Yeah, but they
at
had
the
screwed
time.
the pooch though on multiple occasions where when everything was going CD-ROM based, they decided
Yeah,
to stick to their
that's
laurels
when it
and
started going down.
and stick to carts, which doomed the N64.
That's when it
Sure
went
as fuck did.
downhill.
Then, when they did decide, okay, we're gonna go to CD-ROM, what did they do?
The
They
mini
made the
discs.
little mini
Mini
discs that
discs.
could
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
that they had to do their own proprietary
Are they
stuff.
called
Which,
UMDs?
No, UMDs were the PSPs.
That's PSP.
yeah,
Right, but I thought it was still a mini disc.
Uh,
It was just in a case.
no,
was-
no, because the PSP discs are actually smaller than the GameCube
Are they really?
discs.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
thought they were the
Smaller.
same size.
No, they're smaller.
They're smaller.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
maybe
GameCube
you're
games
right.
are they're a little bit bigger, but they're about half the size
Yeah,
of a
okay,
CD.
yeah, you're right.
So again, they were doing their own thing, but it ended up screwing them in the end, and so that's why the GameCube really did not have a whole like. It wasn't around that long.
That's true.
The Meech.
Which is funny because, like, I suppose Kevin's kind of got a good point. The GameCube was pretty graphically top.
It was
notch for its
impressive,
era.
but it's also that's where
It was just too little, too late.
well, it was not just that. I think the loss they sold that system for, I think, hurt them a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
I remember Resident Evil. That looked good on
When that remake came out, it was impressive.
The remake
Good.
of Resident Evil was amazing, and it's still even the remake of Metal Gear Solid on the GameCube was incredible.
Oh yeah, Twin Snakes. Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it only released for the GameCube?
It was only for the GameCube. It was
I believe it came out for Xbox at one
Xbox,
point.
No, it
because-
didn't. No, it didn't. Not Twin Snakes. It
There
didn't.
was a. Oh no.
Twin Snakes
What
was
I'm
only for the GameCube.
What I'm thinking of is Tony Hawk,
Oh, okay.
and
yeah,
and Snake was in it.
Snake was
Snake
in
was
it.
in it. What? He was not in a Tony Hawk game.
Yeah, I think it was that one. I think there was one.
No, he wasn't.
All right, now I gotta look it up. Am I not remembering? things?
Yeah, you're not remembering that correctly.
God, I want to know, but yeah, when it released, it was only for that. I want to say it came out on something else eventually,
It didn't.
maybe digitally.
I'm telling you right now,
I don't think-
it only came out on the GameCube.
Because I don't remember it on anything. Because I remember like Resident Evil 4 was only GameCube for a while, and then it went to PS2, and yeah. Then Wii, I want to say, wasn't Resident Evil 4 on the Wii?
Oh, Resident Evil 4 was.
It's on fucking everything.
I don't think it was on the Wii though.
I thought maybe it was. Because I could have sworn you could have used the Wiimote as the
maybe.
gun, but I could be wrong on that.
Well, they
PS2 I remember, because
they
that was...
released Resident Evil 4.
Oh, okay. So apparently
everything.
there was talks of a PC port or something at one point.
Ah, gotcha.
Hey, what's up, bud?
Let me see. Hold
Yeah.
on. Yeah, Resident Evil. Whoops. Resident Evil 4, GameCube, the PlayStation 2. Yes, the Wii.
Okay, that's what I thought.
For
The
what?
Xbox
Resident Evil
360.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that.
PC.
Oh, Resident Evil 4 released on everything.
PlayStation 2. PlayStation 4. The Wii.
Surprised it was never re-released on PS3.
Xbox One. Well, and now it's going to be on PS5 when they do the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Actually, the skateboarding thing he might be thinking with Metal Gear was the Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence. The re-released version had a skating
Of 3.
minigame.
I thought Subsistence
really?
That must be
I thought
what I'm
Subsistence
thinking
was
of then.
PSP.
No, Subsistence
Or-
was PS2, but it was
Was it?
it was like a bonus version of Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Subsistence, yeah.
Which
That
one am I
must be
thinking
it.
of the PSP? Was that Snake Eater?
Snake Eater.
No,
was PSP.
Subsistence is 2. Is the
Oh, it's 2. Oh, gotcha.
Snake Eater.
Snake Eater was PSP.
3.
That's what. Okay.
No, Snake Eater was
Wait.
PS2.
No, it
was
wasn't.
There are too many snakes.
Wait, wasn't Snake Eater?
Snake Eater is Metal Gear Solid 3
Solid-
that came out on PS.
Yes.
It was PS2 and then got a 3DS remake.
Hold
Yes.
on. Okay, hold on. Then.
Metal Gear was on 3DS.
That's
Yes.
Metal Gear 3.
Jesus fucking.
Look at that.
Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Oh.
Snake Eater.
PSP ones were Acid.
That's what it was. Acid. Metal Gear Acid.
And they had a card game, didn't they?
I think Acid 2
Or
was
is
the card
Acid
game.
the card game?
Jesus fucking Christ. That's like when Phantasy Star Online
no.
3 was the card
Subsistence
revolution.
was.
Is that the Xbox
was,
release?
No, was 3, but Metal Gear Solid 2 was Substance.
Oh, okay.
Was the.
There, okay.
Yeah.
Substance or Subsistence?
Substance was basically the extra version of number 2.
Which one was Subsistence?
3.
That was 3. Okay. Boy, that's not confusing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you hate when they decide not to number things?
Well, because it was.
Well,
it
they
was
numbered it still. It was
I
called
know.
Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence.
Yeah.
Substance, it was literally just a re-release of the game with some extra content that was added for
Mm.
the Xbox release or something stupid like that.
Well, it was kind of like when Resident Evil 4 released for the PS2. You got the extra, what was it, the Tommy gun and the
Las
armor
Plagas-
Ashley?
And you got the Las Plagas removal laser.
That's
that,
right.
That was only in the PS2 version originally.
Yeah.
But the PS2 version was also inferior in that the costume you wore didn't show up in the cutscenes because they were pre-rendered
right.
and not done in engine, which
Boy,
only the GameCube
really
could.
was pretty powerful.
Compared to the
last time, wasn't
PS2, yes.
it? I didn't realize GameCube was 2001.
PSP also had Peace Walker.
There, that's
Yeah.
Peace
yeah.
Walker.
Peace Walker.
Oh,
There,
Yeah.
yeah.
so many fucking games.
Yeah, and that franchise can still not make
and they
money.
did Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops.
It's really amazing how many games Metal Gear has had that have never made money. Yet they still pump them out.
All of them.
It's really fascinating to me.
I still think the original's the best one. I love that one on
Metal Gear
Nintendo.
Solid still my
I
favorite
like the
one.
original.
Oh, the
Solid.
original one
Are you
for
talking Metal Gear
Nintendo.
The
1?
one on Nintendo I
Yeah.
love.
I'm looking forward to playing that, actually. I'm pretty
I
good
am
at that
too.
one.
I am too.
Do you have the map for it?
Yes.
Ah, I always wanted the map.
Yeah. I think I picked that up at a. I'm pretty sure I picked it up at a Midwest Gaming Classic though, because I didn't originally have the map, and I found it years ago for probably like I think I paid $5 for it for the map. Yeah.
My God.
I always wanted to get that map.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys got games, Nintendo era, what is the first thing you did with the game?
What do you mean?
Ripped it out of the package like an animal.
And you would just start playing?
I just
Oh,
played
yeah.
it. Oh, yeah. I would
no,
never.
I would pop it into the system, hit power on, and then I would flip through the book.
I would. Yeah.
So
no.
it would be on the screen, and I would have the book in my hand.
Rarely did I ever look at the instruction booklet.
And
though.
it depended. If I got it from FuncoLand and it had saves on it, I would load up their saves, the previous saves, just to see what the game was like later in the game, you know? And then I would delete everything and start fresh.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if it was brand
I did
new.
that with Earthbound.
I actually remember the earliest game was Phoenix for the Atari I bought in store. Or my dad bought in store for us one time.
Okay.
Phoenix for the Atari.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Phoenix for some fucking reason. That's the only game because that's like the earliest game I can remember my parents buying for a system that wasn't Nintendo. Was Phoenix for the Atari, and I think it was at a fucking Target.
Probably. I mean, games were sold everywhere.
I mean,
Yeah.
even the hardware stores would sell them.
Oh yeah.
You'd walk in, there'd be a bin. But the one thing I miss the most that you do not get nowadays, first thing I would do is pop in the Nintendo game and sit and wait for that intro cutscene, or if
Or
there's
story.
or there's any story, any demo.
Because
And
Ninja
I
Gaiden,
would-
if you
any
leave it long
demo.
enough,
Yep.
goes into a backstory.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would sit and wait to see what it was. I just wait in anticipation to see what the story is, or if they had the demo or whatever. And back then, on some of those games, even after playing it, get stuck in an area, you'll sit and watch the demo go, and it'll go through various levels. And on some of them, you can actually figure out what to do watching that demo.
I don't know. How many of the demos have we watched where it's just been utter garbage?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
usually a claim. Or what is it? Radical any of their games, it's
God,
like
Radical is
it's
just-
like the demos are playing on just hold the button forward and press A bunch.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're-
where
they're
it's they're
Terminator, he just jumps
so
straight off
dumb.
the cliff. Last Action Hero.
that always made
Wayne's
me
World.
laugh.
Wayne's World had a really stupid demo as well too.
It's like why would you do this?
I wish they still had that nowadays.
Yeah,
I miss that.
Well,
I miss a lot of things.
some games I know some RPGs still do because Tales does it. If you even
they have
sit,
opening cinematics.
they tend to have opening cinematics and stuff like that. So
What's the one I'm playing? God Eater.
yeah,
Any of the God Eaters usually has an opening cinematic. A lot of them kind of do. Like I said, it depends what kind of game it is.
yeah.
Because it's like, that's honestly my biggest annoyance with the way gaming has been trending is the fact that it requires some form of login
Oh, I
or
hate
internet connection. Because how many games are going to be utterly unplayable if you cannot connect to whatever server this thing is connected
Yep.
to? That to me scares me because like any of the Ubisoft games, a lot of them require you to have a Ubisoft
Square does too.
Square.
That-
it has to connect to something for no reason.
Yeah.
It's a one-player game. Why do I need to connect to something?
That
I couldn't give
actually-
less of a shit.
Yeah.
That actually, I was going to buy the Friday the 13th game on the Switch.
Yeah.
And it actually, once I read that it can really only be played online.
It's a multiplayer
it's
game.
only
only.
online.
Yeah, it's a multiplayer game only online. I'm like, nope, I'm not interested in this game anymore because
Yeah, it plays
the
like
second-
Dead by Daylight.
Well,
so-
it's just because the second that the people aren't playing it anymore or they shut the servers down, guess what? Now I can't even play this game anymore. So
Yeah.
it's like, what's the point?
Like a lot of like the MMOs are kind of like Destiny 1. What good is that game right now?
Yeah.
Nobody's playing it.
yeah.
You're not going to be able to find anybody to play it with, and chances are you're probably not going to be able to connect to anything. So this game is utterly useless. It was a blip in gaming history. Just like what's the one? Immortals: Phoenix Rising is another one. It requires a connection of some sort, I think, to Ubisoft.
That's
It would not let me play it at all unless I created an account.
Yeah,
I had to connect to that.
Ridiculous.
but once it's established, it doesn't need to connect anymore.
Right.
That's so you can make the Ubisoft actually offers in-game rewards. So like I play a bunch of the Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
So when you get achievements and stuff like that, they give you or do certain things in the game. They give you points,
But that should be optional.
and then the points that
Yeah.
can be used to buy like free like various DLCs
Yeah.
and stuff that are only available in that little thing.
Which I'm fine with, because Division does it too, which
Yeah.
makes sense, because Division's, multiplayer.
Which is actually how I got a lot of stuff for Division 1, 2,
But Immortals
Phoenix, the
doesn't make
Assassin's
sense.
Creed games.
Immortals is a single-player game, but it requires you to log in. So once you're no longer able to log in, you can't even play it, and it's a single-player
No,
experience.
once the account is made the first time, it doesn't have to anymore.
But I'm saying you can't play it without that account.
Oh,
And that's
And it still needs to connect to something.
and that's just stupid.
It does not let you play it unless it connects. So once it's no longer able to connect, I can't play it. So what's the point? It's a single-player experience. That'd be like me not being able to play the original Final Fantasy because it can't connect to something. How fucking dumb is that?
Yep.
And that trend scares me in gaming.
well,
right now.
at least with Phoenix, that can be patched out.
You'd hope.
It can be
Well,
because it's just an authentication thing that they can just be
Everything's
like.
going to lead to that.
and that's why I'm so glad that and why I will continue to buy older games because
Yeah.
I can have fun with them. I can play them without going online and
And I'm sorry, I feel like I own it. These games, like Destiny now, I don't own it
No.
anymore.
you're borrowing it basically.
Yeah, and I can't trade it in.
Nope.
I can't do. I might as well just throw the game away because I can't do anything with it. Even if I gave it to GameStop, I'd get maybe a quarter.
buck.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like gaming is almost becoming disposable, and Game Pass is not helping that.
Gaming has trended towards disposable for a long time. I mean, to be
Not
honest,
really.
look how many trashy tie-in games, even back on the NES, there are for licensed things. It's been a disposable thing for a long time. It's just getting quicker.
I'd say that's more of a quality issue. That's not really disposable.
But that is disposable
because we can still
it's-
play Jaws. We can still play Wayne's World. We can
Yeah,
still play
it's-
all these games.
Oh, yeah.
Disposable refers more to these games that can just no longer be played anymore without, somebody creating a server or something. Like that's how people
Or
are still able
hosting
to
it on
play
a server.
Phantasy Star
Yeah.
Online. Online is because they've created servers for it. Otherwise, they've stopped supporting that game on the Dreamcast for how many years now?
Oh yeah.
So it's just,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's also but
I suppose really...
certain systems like that, once it's a dead system,
Is it though?
yeah.
People still play that game.
Other than it's no. I'm talking about like specifically Dreamcast, like old systems like that, especially during that. Once the next generation of hardware and stuff comes out, the companies don't give a shit about, because like 90-something% of their population will leave the old system. You're in a minority for people that will play old systems like that at that point.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about that.
No, but see, it's becoming a modern trend to go back to them now. But for a long time, like, there was a slight overlap, but then once that overlap was done, you don't support the old shit anymore. Right.
Usually, like, once they jump to the next console, they jump to the next console.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yes. Like,
but
it's just that divide's becoming bigger because it's becoming quicker.
Well, and it's harder too because retro is becoming so popular, I guess is the right word. Like, it maybe wasn't so big of a deal when we were like jumping from Super Nintendo to PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the divide there is so great, but now it's like the audience goes everywhere. Like, there is a cult following, even more than a cult following for like the Dreamcast, the Sega Saturn.
Oh yeah.
All these basically every generation has a following.
Yeah, but they're a drop in the bucket compared to the number of people that play modern games.
Oh, very much so. He's right.
I'm sorry.
I guess
when you have Game Pass that has 100 million users or something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's not 100 million people going back and playing Dreamcast.
No.
There isn't.
No.
You're gonna get 20 to 50,000.
Yeah. But how many of those 100 million will go back?
Wait,
if they have that?
Does Game Pass actually have access to like games like Dreamcast?
No. Well,
no.
So they have access to all the Xbox stuff and then certain things that Xbox has licensed.
Oh, gotcha.
See,
so not okay. You can't go back and play like ROM versions.
Stupid.
I'm just saying.
Choo Choo Rocket.
Yeah.
Other than ones that, like I said, they get the license for doing like the classics.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's 25 million users.
Jeez.
But
Well, still, that's a lot of users.
That's a lot. That's. I don't know if that's active accounts or all accounts either, because Xbox does not report on that.
Right.
So it could be there's 25 million accounts. How many of them are actually active and doing stuff? So, but that's of the 25 million. Like that's only Xbox accounts. Then you got to figure PlayStation accounts.
As well.
People that go back and play the older systems are a minority that are a niche audience. They are not the focus.
I don't know about that though, because a lot of those users too. How many of those are people our age who also grew up with that stuff that will go back and play that stuff?
But again, it's still a minority of players.
I don't think it's as little as you'd think.
It's not.
It's still the minority though.
Well, yes, I'm aware of that, but I don't think it's as little. He's not. It's not like there's 100,000. I think it's more than that.
Well, it'll change depending on what system you're talking about. The more 3D, like turbo graphics, I guarantee you, there's not very 3DO stuff like that.
I don't really consider those
Dreamcast. I doubt it. Like Dreamcast was great, but I doubt it has the same number of followers that NES does.
Well, of course not. But that's also a thing of accessibility.
So and then like PS2, PS1, that's a weird generation because with the PS2 you can just play all the PS1 games.
I was saying, to be honest, PS2
so weird
is
generations
probably
like
the
that.
strongest library of any console ever done in history.
Yeah, probably.
So I mean, I would say that of any era, PS1, PS2 would probably rival current as far as how many people would play it. Hands down. You can't tell me that all of these people... Look at FF7. That's a good example right there. How many times have they've done so many ports of that game. People will go back and play the PS1 version of Final Fantasy VII after playing the remakes.
But that's also the thing, is there's so many ways I don't have to go back to a PS1 to play it.
True.
I have it on my PS5. I have it on my fucking Switch. I have it on my PSP.
But that's just because they released it there.
But see, that's one of the things with that is like, you don't have to necessarily go back that far to play it. I can still play some of them that, granted, they're choosing...
I think you're missing the point of what I'm trying to say here, because I'm not talking about physically playing a PS1. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going back and playing FF7, which was released on a PS1, that's playing PS1.
Yeah, but
whether you're playing it on a PS5, a PSP, a PSP Go, you're playing PS1. That's what I'm saying. People will love to go back to a Dreamcast game back in the day. People would love to go back and play Code Veronica. Are you kidding me?
I don't know about that one.
Hey, Code Veronica was fantastic.
Code Veronica
That was
X,
good.
maybe. Code Veronica.
Code Veronica was good.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like I feel like the audience for these older systems
It's
not as little as you think.
It's growing because it's one of those weird things where like retro stuff always kind of comes back.
Yeah.
And it's coming back with a fucking vengeance.
Well, because like even if you look at like music trends, movie trends, and stuff like that, they mimic it as well. Like, it's like I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. There are certain styles and musical things.
Well, that's like fashion. They say is cyclical.
Well, like the greaser style came back in the 2000s. So like the rockabilly and stuff like that, music styles came back. Granted, that came back through like punk and stuff like that. So it was the same but slightly more modernized.
Right.
But like those styles come back. So I think gaming it ebbs and flows like that, and at some point it's gonna hit the crest, and then it's just gonna start falling off hard.
I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna fall off. How many?
And then what? But
how many
it
games
will-
are mimicking that pixel style right fucking now? You could go on the PlayStation Shop, the Wii Shop.
How many of them are worth it?
Yeah, but that's...
A lot of them are very in depth and
Some
worth
of them are
it.
very good. But how many
Yes.
trash ones are there?
Yeah, but
we used to go
You
on.
can't say that though.
How many games did we go with? What was it? The 360 when we'd go through
Right.
at the store. How many of them were using pixel art that were absolute trash that you'd be embarrassed to have your
Yeah,
name on?
but that's
I'm gonna say this though. So with the pixel art, yes, the original pixel art was to try to capture what games look like, that nostalgia. That was with Shovel Knight.
right. Shovel Knight killed it.
Well,
Shovel Knight killed it. Shovel Knight killed it with that. Everybody who is now going to pixel art is not necessarily doing it for the nostalgia. They're trying to recapture what happened with Shovel Knight.
No,
and
actually,
they think
no,
and they think that the pixel art is going to do it.
the only thing I was going to ask was, did Shovel Knight come first or Cave Story?
Shovel
I
Knight.
think Shovel Knight.
Shovel
Because
Knight.
Cave Story was massive when it released. They even got like the deal with Nintendo and stuff like that.
Because Cave Story was digital only, and then once the Switch,
You got
launched,
like
they did
that one
physical.
blew up huge,
'Cause
and he even did like the remastered version that did the updated graphics.
I feel like Shovel Knight did come first.
Yeah.
Shovel Knight did.
It was very
Yeah.
close, if
Hold
I
on, let me
remember.
see.
Because I have it on the Wii U.
Yeah.
Well, Cave Story came out in like
But it was
DS.
out.
Let me see.
Three?
Cave Story came out Cave Story originally released as Dokutsu Monogatari is a 2004 Metroidvania. 2004?
yeah.
For
Holy
what though?
shit. For Microsoft Windows.
Okay, yeah,
So it's a
that
computer
doesn't. I don't count that. I'm talking about mainstream consoles.
2014 for Shovel Knight.
Was it really 2014? Oh,
So Cave Story.
Well, when was Cave Story before just PC?
Hold on, Cave Story.
So Windows was 2004 Japan originally.
I don't count
Yes.
Cave Story Plus was 2011, 2010 for the Wii.
that. Okay,
Oh,
so
Cave Story
So
did come first.
Cave
Wow.
Story is
All
what
right.
really kicked it
It
off,
was
not
okay.
Shovel Knight. Because
Well,
Cave Story was massive.
Cave Story was massive.
I remember all these indie developers copying it
Yes.
as soon as Cave Story got that the deal to go to the Wii.
See, I remember more Shovel Knight kicking off a lot of indie developers doing it more than
To be
Cave
honest,
Story.
I think the quality is what Shovel Knight kicked off.
Maybe you're
not
right.
necessarily the style.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my point. Is they released that and it was such a phenomenon. 10 years later, they're still releasing games of that style.
To be honest, I think
It's not gonna drop off.
honestly, I think it was one of those lightning in a bottle things. They just came out at the right time
'Cause,
for
I mean,
our generation to not only hit
maybe.
nostalgia, but then
'Cause, I mean,
having the money to do stuff.
You have Iconoclasts. You have what's the one? Azure Gunvolt. You have Luminous Avenger. I mean, you have Blaster Master.
Luminous-
Inti Creates is
Yeah.
way forward. That's all they do, and
Yeah.
they're not a AAA developer, but
No.
they're still big. They're well fucking known.
And
Well-
again, but that's all they do. Like how many Azure Gunvolt and Luminous Avenger games are there now? That's
Well,
8 or
literally
9.
Well,
that's
it's funny
literally
because-
all they do.
Way Forward, one of their earliest titles was Shantae for the Game Boy Color,
Yeah.
and that literally was almost that pixel art type stuff.
Yeah. And they've done 5 games since.
Wait, was it a retro release for the Game Boy Color, or did it actually release on the Game Boy Color?
Released on the Game Boy Color.
Oh, see
That's one of the.
They're old, so I would consider them part of that generation, not nostalgia anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't nostalgia, but it was just what they knew.
Keeping the brand alive is the nostalgia for sure.
Way Forward, I suppose, is a newer one. Because, like I said, there's 4 Azure Gunvolt games, 2 Luminous Avenger games, and then whatever else they.
Well, as I say, Luminous Avenger literally just released a new one.
Yeah, they've got 2.
Was it number 2?
Well, Luminous Avenger is part of the Gunvolt games.
Yeah. It's it follows the bad guy from the first one.
Yeah.
Actually, Way Forward probably does a lot of like nostalgic stuff too. Way Forward games.
But I mean, I don't see that trend ever going away because it doesn't only appeal to our generation; it also appeals to like our generation's kids.
Well, I was saying, but also, how many games has your brother shown his daughter that she's kind of snubbed her nose at?
Oh, that I don't know. But
I guarantee
that could be also her tastes are a lot different.
But there's going to be a lot of them like. Sorry, you're not going to introduce a lot of younger generations to the original Ninja Gaidens and have them be like, "This is awesome." You're going to have the few that'll click to it, but the majority not happening.
I suppose it's possible, but also that comes down to just playability. There is that. There is a certain level of modern playability versus old.
Can you believe that Shantae came out in 2002?
Did it really?
Yeah,
For the Game Boy Color. And that was like, talk about, like, the system was already a dead system, I think, at that point. Like, people had already moved on.
Advance, I think, was 2003, wasn't it?
Was it?
No, Game Boy Advance came out in 2002.
2002 as well?
Oh, so it's like the
Or
Nintendo
2001 even, I think.
That's like the Nintendo, Super Nintendo overlap.
Yeah, but that's why Shantae is as expensive as it is. It is expensive because it came out near the end of its lifeline. It was, or the life
still
cycle.
Playable on the new system, so
it's super fun, and it's a great game, and it's
does that one play like the newer ones, or
it's
does
a Metroidvania?
Yeah,
okay,
it's a Metroidvania. Yeah.
I was wondering if they like jump genres or anything.
I actually have Shantae for the 3DS. I bought it on the eStore.
Pirate's Curse?
No, the original.
Oh, the original.
The original one.
Oh, okay. You're talking. Okay, yeah. Okay, I have it too.
The virtual shop version.
Yeah, I have it too.
Yeah, from the eStore.
It's funny. I actually have a few Game Gear games on my 3DS.
Oh yeah.
Is that from the early adopter thing?
Sword of Asia is on there.
Yeah, I got Sword of Asia. I got what's it called? Crystal something. I don't know. I got a few that I never heard of before. But it's I don't know. I don't know. Gaming's weird. Like this latest generation scares me of where
I understand that the trends with gaming are what scares me because the trends that tend to pick up are shit.
Fortnite.
Sorry.
Minecraft.
Battle Royale, the Dark Souls, fucking roguelites. There are certain formulas that, like, pixel art's another one, like, it, after a certain point, do something to not just copy the pack, but actually change shit.
Yeah. Differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
That's why I like a lot of the indie games that are just different. Like, there's one for the Wii, or the Switch called Luca. I can't remember what the subtitle is. It's Lucah, but it's kind of like a Souls-ish, but it's more action RPG. It's kind of like Did you ever play the Unsighted demo that I told you about?
No, I don't.
I don't really know how to describe the game, but it's graphically it's fascinating because it's not your typical graphics. You know what I mean? But I know what you mean. Yeah, Souls formulas played out, roguelite. Like, all of those. How many fucking more releases of Skyrim do we need?
Well, and, like, to be honest, like, as much as I love, like, Metroidvania games, there are a lot of games that copy that formula that just don't do it right.
Right. You're right. You're very right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, look at how many games tried to copy Symphony of the Night and just suck.
Yeah.
Until, like, Iga goes back and does his stuff and makes it good again.
Bloodstained?
Bloodstained was so good.
Well, he still hasn't played...
He hasn't played Ritual.
He hasn't the Symphony of the Night.
I actually have Ritual of the Night. I got it on the...
PS5?
PS4.
Well, yeah. You
so I'm going to play it on the PS5.
And it's fantastic.
Really good game.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. But yeah, so what else you guys got?
That's my foot.
Chris, Jesus Christ.
I got nothing.
I'll tell you this much.
We've tackled a variable
Smorgasbord.
smorgasbord of
Dude, we always
nostalgia.
go off on rants and stuff, so it's
a lot of rants, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm out of video gaming soon. Everything's gonna go digital. I won't buy digital. I want to own my stuff, so it's gonna push me back more towards retro.
Oh, yeah.
And you never know what's going to be physical. Like, there was a really great game that came out not that long ago called Crosscode. It was kind of like an MMO. Have you ever played any of the dot hack games?
No.
Where it's you're in a
Simulator.
like a simulator MMO,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like Fates or not Fates, well, dot hack, I guess. Sword Art Online is kind of like that too. But this game kind of plays on that genre of you're in an MMO, but you're not really I don't know. It's weird. But I bought it digital, liked it so much, I actually bought the physical. Like, I don't know if Limited Run.
I think Limited
one,
Runs did it.
I don't know. Somehow there was a physical. Well, I bought the physical as well. So it's like you just never know what's going to be physical and what isn't. Made in Black Water, the latest Fatal Frame.
Yeah, that was weird. That
They released it digital only here. Well, I had to buy a Korean copy to get physical. I had to create a Korean fucking account to even play the damn PS5 upgrade, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
hate
why
that.
would you release it overseas and fully translated English, voice and text,
Well,
Yeah, that
and
makes
not
no
release
sense.
it physical
Yeah.
here?
So actually, I kind of looked into that. Apparently, there are a lot of games that are Japanese and like in like the Asian market that have full English menus and dialogue, and that's just the way they are because part of their market likes the. I guess you can kind of say it's like they play to a niche market to
Kinda like
that
how-
like the Western influence on stuff.
Yeah.
So there are entire games that are done in English that just don't get released outside of Japan.
Kind of like how there's a subsect here who loves Japanese voices in games rather than the English.
It's the whole debate of do you like dub or subbed anime?
Yeah.
There's a market in Japan and stuff for English dubbed stuff. Which is just weird to me,
That
but
is
then again, the opposite's true here. There's
true.
a market for Japanese language only stuff. There are entire like people that won't play like the Tales games in English
Yeah.
because they don't like the American voice actors and stuff.
This is America. I mean,
It's weird to me, but there's
It's
weird
weird to me,
markets
too.
for everything.
like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, there's a big thing. They either like the
want that.
Japanese voice or the regular voice. Same with the original Xenoblade. You know, I guess I understand it, but I don't know. It annoys me because
I
it's
like to be
I
able
want
to
physical.
I
here.
like to be able to focus on the game and still understand everything going on. So
Exactly.
I'm always in English. Like if that's a choice, it's always English.
Me too, because it's like
You miss certain context things that happen.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions came out with that one on the Switch.
Yeah.
Well, even on the Wii U, it was all voiced in Japanese, which is fine, but it's like during battle they'll have quips and stuff that they'll say, and it's like I have no idea what you're saying. And it
Yeah.
kind of takes me out of it because it's like I want to hear these things. Like I want to hear what they're saying. You know?
Granted, sometimes I mean, how many times can you hear "coming at you"?
Yeah. Rather than I don't know, man. I'm with you. We're that generation where we prefer physical versus digital, which is why Game Pass scares me.
One of the only reasons I like digital is I have sensory issues with clutter.
Oh, so you're just too lazy to get up and hit the disc out.
No, it's a.
I know what you mean.
If my things aren't lining up symmetrical, I will tear it down and restack everything till it is. And I don't. It's only gotten worse as I get older. So like I have to keep things a certain way, and I have books that I can't put out and stuff like that because it won't line up. So I don't know. I just got weird issues like that. So for me, it's a.
So you look at my 2 bookshelves at home full of games and.
Why do you think I reorganized them so many goddamn times when I would hang out there and you were at work?
I have everything just as a smorgasbord on.
Or like I would clean and do your dishes because I couldn't stand just looking at shit like that. But it's for me, it's that sort of thing. It's a compulsion I can't control.
Yeah.
So like that's one of the reasons I like digital. And yeah, the convenience of being able to just. I'm done with this game. I want to load this other game up and not have to switch. It's a convenience thing, but yeah, there are certain things, especially with like, well, the PS5 is a great example. Such a small internal memory space,
Right.
and games are getting so fucking huge that I mean, I've got games where, like, what is it, 600 gig for the PS5 internal? Well, one game takes up over 100 gigs.
Right. Division 2, I know alone is 111 gigs.
Yeah. And
Mighty.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I think, is getting close to 170 or something like that.
That's sick.
Which drives you nuts.
Yeah. So
they,
it's...
They say, like, what, the PS5 has, what, a 1 terabyte hard drive in it?
And, you know, internally you've got like 600 gigs.
Yeah, it's like... Because after the system stuff that you can't actually do anything about.
It was
gotcha.
only 800 gig to begin
It
with.
was something goofy.
Because of it was a manufacturing savings cost because those types of hard drives are still super expensive to
it's
manufacture.
Regardless, even if you think like, oh, it's a 1 terabyte hard drive, and you're like, oh, that's gonna last me forever, and then you have a game that is like 100 and some gigs, like you literally could have 5 games on your system.
Yeah. To be completely honest, when like thumb drives first came on the market, I had a 64 meg one, and I was like, I'm never gonna need more than 64 meg on one of these. I now have ones that are like 32 gig, and they're filling up.
As a thumb drive.
Well,
are you kidding? Our small cards that we use for the camera are 128 megabytes, or 128 gigabytes.
Well, and it's funny because I gave somebody a, I want to say it was a 4 gigabyte thumb drive, because he was putting some like old like TV shows and stuff on.
So that's
it.
what mine's for. It's all my videos and stuff like that.
And I said, here, it's because I just wanted a couple of shows, and I'm like, here, I think it's a 4 gig, and he's like, 4 gig? Can you even get those that small anymore? I'm like,
For
yeah,
$1.
I get it. It's old, yeah. It's just
Like, I still have my 64 meg one.
yeah.
I look at it, I'm like, what the hell were we thinking?
I feel like one of the versions of Xenoblade I bought came with a Monado thumb drive.
Oh, really?
I don't remember how big it was, but yeah.
Oh, it's probably maybe a
Oh,
gig.
I wonder what the thumb
Maybe.
drive was. My copy of Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2 came with a Starkiller USB drive.
I wonder, is that the soundtrack on there?
Maybe.
Because there was a couple of games I know I've released like that where they give you a thumb drive that have the soundtrack on it instead of a CD.
Oh, see, and this one is...
So you could load it to MP3 players.
Oh,
and
the
stuff
one
like
for
that.
Unleashed 2, if I'm not mistaken, there's nothing on it. It's just a thumb drive that you can use, but
It looks good.
It looks like Starkiller.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's great reminiscing about the good old days. That's all I know.
It is, because
yeah.
you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring when it comes to the...
I don't know, but there's still like amazing stuff because like
Oh
Horizon,
yeah, absolutely.
Horizon comes out next month, and that's going to be. If it's
Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
if it's anything like the first game, it's going to be like one of the best games of its style to date.
Forspoken looks fucking credible, just
Yeah.
graphically and experience wise. Like, what they can do with gaming now is remarkable.
Yeah.
It's shit we never would have dreamed of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially look at some of the stuff with VR. Like when VR stuff first came on the scene, it looked like a joke. It was like, why am I playing PS2 quality graphics for VR? Now you load up a VR game, RE7 in VR.
Ooh, yeah.
That game is gorgeous when it's in your fucking face.
Wonder what does the
awesome.
RE4 look like in VR? Because I know
I
they re-released that in VR as well.
They've released a
Not
lot
that
of
long
It's
weird
ago.
only
stuff.
Oculus, though.
Oh, okay.
They didn't bring it to Sony PlayStation. I wish they did, because I'd be all over that.
So like, there's
Paul might actually be able to hit stuff because he'll actually be looking and aiming at it.
Yeah, you got to finish that one, Paul.
You know...
you
We'll get there.
want to know why he didn't? Because I kept making fun of him too much.
You know something, actually? How many bullets do you have left in Resident Evil 2?
I have 0.
Uh-huh, yeah. Can't hit shit? Yeah.
Adaptive difficulty, though.
You
Thank
can't hit
you.
shit either.
I can hit things, I just kill too much. That's the problem.
You guys can all go to hell.
No. I never finished Resident Evil 4 because of ammo. Lack of ammo.
In RE4?
I think I
my
blocked
issue wasn't
myself.
that. It was they just didn't want to. They just
I kept making fun of him too much, and
They didn't want to. They didn't want to watch me play it anymore.
granted, how much shit did we give him for Silent Hill for missing like the map, and we still
I got
finished
the
that.
map.
You got no
After
map.
we finished the area.
I got the map though. You didn't tell me when to get it.
He got it.
Oh,
I don't know, boys.
This is the best end for an episode ever. Hey guys, got the map.
Got the fucking map, son of a bitch. But yeah, Chris, thanks for coming on. We'll have to do another one of these at some point because I want to do a whole episode dedicated. So at the end of our quest stuff, for the NES, we always do a segment of what was it worth and what did Paul pay for it. Well, a lot of those videos were 5 years ago. You look at a lot of the prices of how they've jumped over the years.
Yeah.
I want to do a Powercast on that topic alone of the trend of games getting more expensive.
To be honest, it's one of the reasons because of that. There's kind of wish we were bigger because I would love to have an actual site set up where we have like a spreadsheet that we keep up to date with like a forum where we can talk about that shit. Like if we had the bigger audience for doing that shit, it would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I agree because I would love to hear from people collecting now.
Yeah.
Not just Chris and his friend and just I want to see a community of people collecting right now and see what they're paying.
And some of the forums I've been to for collecting, I just don't like the way they are.
Yeah. But we'll have to have you on again for that episode as well. But I think that's actually a pretty good stopping point for
3
this.
hour?
It's 2 hours 43, but I'm gonna cut a good 20 minutes out of that when I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But yes, so thanks for coming on. Always a delight.
It's my pleasure.
That's all I fucking got, man.
Vanderschlong. You gotta end it full circle.
No, I got it. Baron Bram Stroker von Vanderschlong.
That's good, actually.
Boom!
I like it. Fuck, so what's your guys' porn name? If you had to be in porn, what would be your porn name? What do you remember buying for next to nothing and now it's astronomically jumped in price that you're glad you found it? Or what's your greatest find at a flea market or a garage sale or whatever?
This drives Chris nuts. But finding Zombie Nation in a bin. Only 2 Nintendo games in that bin. One was Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt. The other one was Zombie Nation. What the hell? How random was that?
And what did you pay for Zombie Nation?
$2.99.
Oh, man.
Currently on PriceCharting.com, $563. What a crazy thing. So hit us up on Facebook.
Hit us up on Twitter.
Go to PowerTripGaming.tv. Takes you right to the channel where you can watch us play through the entire NES collection.
Yes, you can listen to all of our other podcasts as well, too, for the PTG Powercast.
That's right. iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify.
All of it. And if you don't want to contact us on social media, because social media is bad, you can email us at nespowertrip@gmail.com.
That's right. So that does it for another episode of the PTG Powercast.
You have been listening with power.
Wow.
Every time I hear that, it reminds me of like old bad radio jockeys.
I'm just curious if my Zombie Nation, if I do still have the price tag.